You're not real. You're dead.
I am. Careful now. That which lies ahead does not yet exist. Our world will become a part of it one day, but I will not end. Nor will I have you end. Cloud, lend me your strength. Let us defy destiny together. 7 seconds till the end. Time enough for you, perhaps. But what will you do with it? Let's see.
Whatever happens, don't blame yourself.
Oh, what fun you had. Tell me though, was it worth it? Behold, the true nature of reality. I'm waiting, Cloud.
What is up, everybody? Good morning. Welcome to the reunion of reunions, the thing to end everything. And today is going to be a special day, special morning, because I've got two of my my favorite people here on the internet to talk about one of my favorite games of this year, and it should have been last year, but I missed the boat. I missed the launch of it. And of course, it's going to be Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. And this has been a stream in the making for a hot minute, and I'm very glad I got my two buddies here. So I'm just gonna introduce them one at a time. Of course, we've got to my left on the screen here, Carl of RNG. What's up, buddy?
Oh, well, living the American dream.
That's great to hear. And then, of course, Mr. Jason from Tons of Fun. What's up, man? Thanks for waking up early for this.
Not a problem at all. You say Final Fantasy VII, and I get to spread any of the information of, positivity on this game. If you haven't played it or anything like that, I'm always here because, if you come to my channels, this is one of my favorite games of all time.
Yeah, man. In fact, I remember some of the early streams that you've done with Neo and these other streams about talking about video games. You bring up Final Fantasy VII here and there, and just seeing the glow on your face talking about it. I was like, yeah, this guy is a fan. You could tell when people talking about a game or a sports team or whatever, just how enthralled they are about it. And I knew you had to be here. I mean, you out of the three of us, you have the most history with it. So I needed an expert in the field. So
yeah, history, being old, yeah, I get it. Yeah, in comments I get comments like, why does he keep talking about Final Fantasy VII? Why does he keep talking about Resident Evil 2? Why does he keep talking about Killer Instinct? That's what I get in comments all the time.
You're the elder statesman, so of course you gotta have some knowledge.
Yeah.
Awesome. So let's see. The first thing I want to do, and this isn't really spoilers, but I want to talk about each of our individual experiences with Final Fantasy VII. And so I'm going to start with Carl. What is your earliest memory of and we're talking about the original game. What is your earliest memory of it? And what kind of got you hooked on I guess wanting to play Remake and Rebirth?
So my early history with Final Fantasy VII was I had a buddy, and we used to play video games together. He was the more affluent kid, I guess you could say. I was the poor plebeian, and he was the one that was a little bit older than me by a couple years, but his parents were a little more well off, so they always bought him the new game, as you would say.
Right.
So a lot of video games that I played on the PlayStation side, at least, were from him just coming over, hanging out, and we would play video games together. And one of those games was Final Fantasy VII. And, it looked really cool at the time for a little kid like me to watch a friend play this crazy over-the-top JRPG. Obviously, the infamous Aerith scene that we will obviously talk about later was one of those wow moments as video games. And on top of that too is just I had a lot of friends who grew up around me also who were huge fans of it too. One of my best friends at the first sleepover I had at his house, ironically enough, he was up all night playing Final Fantasy VII, and I was like, I thought we were playing Castlevania. So that was kind of funny. But later on in life, for me, it's more so just watching Advent Children and all that stuff. And I finally played the remake a second time, thanks to Jason here bullying me and calling me slurs. So
I probably would that, but
but all kidding aside, I decided to give it a second chance because the PS4 version of it did not run as well as I would like it to do. I got the PS5 version, and then last December I played Crisis Core, Remake, and Rebirth all in a setting of 2 weeks. So I became a fan.
Yeah, that was insane. Finding out about that, you were powering your way through it, and then especially after I played Rebirth, I'm just like, holy cow, this guy beat this game in less than 2 weeks. It took me 2.5 months to do it. So, yeah, that's crazy, man. But it was pretty funny because I still remember the stream that you were on with Jason and Jason's friend. What was it? The top 5 game or announcements, right? Game announcement or reveals.
JRPGs.
Yeah.
I thought it was JRPGs.
There was that one. There was a couple. There was game reveals that are JRPGs, so it's one of the two.
Okay, so yeah, one of the two.
It was JRPGs. That's what it was. I was on that one.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember now. Yes, I remember because the two you, Jason and his friends, surprise, said Final Fantasy VII was their number one, and they were talking about remake and all that, and you were like kind of clowning them about it, but it was kind of funny because you had to kind of eat your lunch with that because I mean that's just that happened to me too. I had to eat my lunch on some games as well. Just we kind of get in a headspace where it's like, I don't think I wasn't ready for it, or like you said with the performance thing, that can really determine a game as well. And now we're all here having fun, sharing some of the live stream with each other to talk about this. uh
Yes,
Yeah, no,
indeed. It's
yeah.
it's not nothing wrong with saying you're wrong.
No, and there's nothing wrong with like, giving something a second try. Like like when you guys were talking about like how you guys didn't care for it at first, I understood right away. I'm not the biggest fan of open world games, but when you take the game, as we'll talk about later, if you take it and you play it however you want, it could be a very quick game, it could be a very long game, it could be whatever you want to make it, and that's what makes it really, really good. And the performance issues, again, yes, they were there. I understand. But yeah, I mean that's what made this game as good as it was. Like you can take 5 days to beat it. You can take 5 months to beat it. It doesn't matter. There's a lot of stuff you can do in this game to have fun.
Yes. Now, returning back to the original game, I'll go next. And for me, my personal experience was back in 2020 when I was still in the military. One of my friends, my coworkers, when I was working in this office or whatever, he came in to talk to me. It was night shift, and he's like showing me this trailer for remake. He's like, "Yeah, this is like amazing that this game is being remade. It's from it's Final Fantasy VII, blah blah blah." And me growing up as a Nintendo kid, I never really had a lot of exposure to PlayStation, so I had like little to no idea what like Final Fantasy VII was. I know Cloud was in Smash Brothers because that came out during the Wii U time frame for Smash Brothers, and that was really all the extent of it that I knew. So he like encouraged me to play it or to buy the original game and play it, and then also get remake. So I bought the original game and I played it up until Midgard, which is like the very like first 10% of the game, and then I actually went out of my way to buy a PlayStation 4 just to play remake and Ghost of Tsushima. And so when remake came out, I bought it digitally right away and I started playing through it. And I remember beating it. And I just had like no idea what I played because it was like all new to me. And it just, yeah, I understand that it followed like the first 10% of the original game, but even then, like I just couldn't digest it because I had no idea what was going on. So, um, fast forward to like 4 years later, and I sat on it and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna replay this game, but on hard mode. But this time, I want to show my wife, and so I threw on the Japanese audio and we played it together, and I had a lot of fun revisiting it because at this point, I actually was replaying the original game, and I went and finished the original game. I think either before I finished hard mode or either after. I don't remember exactly. And it was a blast just like playing the original game and getting to the end and then doing all the weapon battles as well and live streaming that and seeing like the final attack from Sephiroth where it's like 3 minutes of like rendered scenes that like took up like 50% of the third disc. It was pretty
Yep.
cool to see all that and just like the exploration and also like kind of breaking the game as well with like the double item glitch. That was kind of funny. Um,
So
I,
many ways to break that game.
yeah, I mean it was just a lot of fun and just seeing all the characters and the backstories and stuff and it gave me a deeper appreciation. Actually, kind of helped me ease more into JRPGs if I'll be honest. Like, um, and so after that, I just sat around and was waiting for Rebirth, and I don't have a PlayStation 5, so I had to wait for the PC release. And man, that was a long year of waiting because I remember sitting around. I'm like, man, people are saying that it's gonna go to Epic Game Store first, and I don't want to spend money on Epic. And then they're saying like, maybe it'll be like 2 years from now. And then all of a sudden, they kind of just like announced it out of nowhere at the Game Awards at the end of the year. And I was like, I know exactly what I'm buying after that. So, anyways, I love the game. I'm gonna replay it someday again. I like to play on the original PlayStation if I could. That'd be pretty cool. But I have the Switch version and obviously the PC version, and they're fun. It's like it's a pretty simple game. I think I understand why it kind of took off back in the day because it wasn't like an overly complicated game, and if you paid attention to like the clues, you can kind of figure out where to go next in the story. But yeah, so that does about for me. So Jason, you're the top dog here with the Final Fantasy lore and the lore keeper. So like I've heard
Yeah.
your story before. I like your story a lot. So like what tell my viewers like how did you get into it and then like all the things that followed after that.
Yeah, so I accidentally fell in love with it. As people know about me, Final Fantasy in general, I had the first one on the NES, and I thought it was the silliest thing ever, taking your turns to battle and everything. And then I got three for the Super Nintendo. I'm like, oh, this looks cool. Um, Whatever, it's still taking your turns to battle. I don't understand. Like, this is the time when action this, action that. Castlevania this, Castlevania that. I need to hit something by pushing a button. I don't want to plan my attacks. But then seven came out at one point. I don't remember getting the day of, but I remember when I got it. Um, I had a birthday, and for birthday we always got a video game for our birthday. Went to go pick up a game. Wasn't in mind at all. I believe I picked up Mortal Kombat 4 or I picked up Raw's War, one of the two. And when I went to Walmart right after I went to my Funko Land, there was that same game that I just bought for $20. So I was like, I just got done spending 50, 60, even $70 on this game, and now it's this much. So we end up obviously buying the $20 one. And then as soon as we went to take that back, she's like, "You have credit. Just pick something else up." I saw this guy with a huge Buster Sword. Didn't see Final Fantasy VII because again, I know what Final Fantasy kind of was, but I didn't see that. I just see a guy with the Buster Sword. I'm like, that guy looks pretty cool. That's gonna be really awesome to hit, the X button or the triangle or the square button to make him swing that sword around. Let alone knowing that was a Final Fantasy game. But when the game started up, with the music, with how everything felt urgent, I didn't care about turn-based anymore. I was like, this is amazing. Like these characters are already setting this, whatever the story is, up for this crazy adventure. I couldn't care less that it was just attack this, attack that. You have to plan this and plan that. It's like I want to know what these characters are gonna do next.
Yeah, man. I think that really shows says a lot about just the first couple minutes of the game and how it can hook people right away. And like you said, you weren't really into the whole like turn-based type stuff, but you were able to kind of like ignore that initially and really like fall in love with the game because of the characters and the theme and the setting and what was going on. And I think that's really what happened to a lot of other people too. Otherwise, I think Seven wouldn't have been as like massively popular as it is now. So
No,
that's really neat.
yeah, yeah, and like, cause I fell in love with it so much. Like, then obviously I was showing it to my friends, and my friends, got it, and then we would do these things where we would bring our consoles to our friend's house, and we would have like Final Fantasy VII days where we would just literally play it at each other's friend's house. Not their copy. We would play our own copy with two TVs because we wanted to advance our story, or we wanted to beat the Ruby weapon first, or we wanted to beat Emerald weapon first. And then I always joke around with it with my strategy guide. I still have my original 7 strategy guide. We would end up buying that, and again, I always call it my Bible because I'd always bring it, and I'd always want to trace the characters. Again, it'll be a theme as we talk this later. Is I think if it wasn't for how the characters were, I don't think I would have fell in love with it as much, but the characters in the game is what to me is why this game is so good.
Yeah, I like hearing about your strategy guides story because that's just another piece of like media that's kind of gone nowadays. You don't
Hmm.
really see a lot of strategy guides, and for me, I grew up with a couple here and there, and I still have like really fond memories of like hanging out with friends and we're like reading it and figuring out what we're gonna do in the game. And man, I can't imagine like especially with like a JRPG, just having all of that knowledge like right there in front of you. That's like at the beginning of the game basically. That's really cool. So yeah, I appreciate you sharing that with us. Real quickly, I gotta say hello to my buddy in the chat here. You're Red Army. What's up, man? I know he's a big Seven fan, and he's waiting to play, I think, Rebirth. So I don't know if you want to stick around too long here, man, because we're gonna have massive spoilers. I'm gonna have a tag here coming up, but he wants to know why you skipped 4 and 6, Jason.
So I mean, I played 6 obviously because I was 3 here. Um, but I just didn't care for it as much.
Oh, that's right.
Again,
Yeah.
I don't know. like again, 6 is great. I've gone back and played it. I'm like, man, as a kid, I was stupid. It doesn't beat 7, but when people say that 6 is their favorite over 7, or 6 is their favorite all time, I completely understand. I mean, the Magitech robots coming in, that scene right away. It's
Yeah.
another really good way to set up a game. To me, again, for 7 being my favorite, I thought it was a little slow because you just see these robots walking in the snow. Granted, I'm stupid. Don't I understand. 7's like crazy. You're doing this bombing mission. You have this gigantic scorpion you're facing. You have all these kind of stuff. You're not super overpowered like you were to start off 6, and then 6 you go into the carnival and all that kind of stuff. So I mean, there was a lot of things that 6 does right that 7 misses, and I completely understand. But yeah, I think again for me, characters is what you'll hear and I like a lot.
So one thing that your Rep Army's saying real quickly is that 6 would be his all-time favorite, if not for what happened to Aerith or Eris in 7. And a mutual friend of the channel for both Carl and I, Nerdporeal Lifeform, he has the opposite take. So he likes 7 overall, but between 6 and 7, he believes 6 has the better ending because it's not as dark as 7's ending, the original 7th ending. And I understand that. I don't know the ending of 6, but I'm just taking his word for it that it is like more lighthearted. So it's just interesting how like 6 and 7 are always like fighting with each other per se, even though it's like more like a friendly rivalry. But yeah, I mean that just shows you how amazing both JRPGs are. Like that you can compare them and see like which one's better, and they both have their plus and minuses. So, but yeah, so well, with that being said, I don't know if you got anything you want to add there, Carl, before we move on to the meat and potatoes of this stream.
I just feel like between 6 to 10 is usually like the good run of Final Fantasy games that gets the audiences, or the fan bases, I should say, kind of churning to see which one is their favorite.
Yeah, that's I hear that a lot from people. I actually recently bought the Pixel remasters for 1 through 6, so I'm very excited to play through them, even though it's not gonna be like the original games. I want to play them on a modern console, so I got it for the Switch, and I'm looking forward to like giving them a shot because I know like those first 3, at least the first 2 Final Fantasy games are like ridiculously hard, especially because the first one I think didn't have auto attack or auto. Well, it's not auto attack, but basically like auto change attack. And so like if you attacked an enemy, and they died already, then like you wasted an attack with the next character you
Yeah, I believe
used.
so.
So
Yeah, I can't remember if the Pixel Return fixed it, but yeah, no, like the first Final Fantasy definitely is more like a D&D
yeah.
like strategy kind of game.
Hey, well, appreciate you coming on by your Red Barmy, and yeah, we'll be here for a while. But yeah, you definitely don't want to be around when we talk about Rebirth because you need to go play it, man. I think you'll like it. So without further ado, let's get into Rebirth real quickly.
早く来い、クラウド。
All right, before I forget, I'm gonna turn on the massive spoiler alert tag that I've got, because I'm one of the guys that I want people to play the game and any game and experience it themselves without like revealing a lot of information, because that makes or breaks a game, knowing what you like not knowing what you go into. And I just like giving people that respect that, hey, you should play the game before you come up with your own opinions on it, because we live in a world now where people's opinions on games are decided by YouTubers instead of like their own. So but we're not here to talk about that. We're gonna have fun talking about this game now. Like I said before, I had to wait a year to play it, and that was like brutal. Somehow I missed a ton of the, not, I wouldn't say spoilers, but like some of the crazy stuff that happens in the game. And it was funny because I remember when like Carl was playing through it, he's like, "Oh my gosh, they're doing this! You got to hurry up and play this game!" Blah 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 blah. And it was like torture just hear that all the time because I was waiting for that PC release. So it was funny. But oh, go ahead, Jason.
No, no, I would say I felt the same way because I got the game just a little early, and I beat it super early, and I'm playing it. I'm doing this. I'm like, I can't talk to anybody because nobody really has this game, and I just want to talk to somebody about this, and like all even my friends like they have to wait, and then two, it's a long game. They even have to wait longer to get to the parts that where I was at. So I was like, I can't say anything. This sucks. It was just as much torture too.
So I actually wanted to start with that, with your experience with that, because I remember you mentioned that, and I was like, that's crazy. Like you're just sitting there. It's like knowing the secret of like how the world ends, and you can't share it with anybody. Um,
Mhm.
so how, if you can remember, and no need to go straight into the end game spoilers, but upon beating it, what was like your initial reaction to like what did I just experience in this game?
Oh man. My first reaction, besides like I said when we had remake, is I can't wait for the next one. Um, what's the next one gonna be called? And then I go through that, and then kind of a spoilerish. Why did Aerith look at me like that?
Oh man, the context
those
behind
were
that.
my those were my three things that went through my head, and then obviously the soundtrack. Um, Buying that because the music in the game is fantastic, and but yeah, all those little trying to pinpoint things were the main 3 to 4 things that were like going through my head.
Okay. And how long did it take until like at least one friend you were able to talk to about what
Oh
you
man,
just went
about a
through?
month and a half ish because they were playing something else at the time.
Oh no.
Like I literally, I mean, this is how bad it became because I obviously you just got talking about YouTubers. I literally had to live my talking to friends through like Maximilian or other YouTubers because they do that for their job as a gaming.
Yeah.
And I'm like, cool, I know the ending. So I'm like, what are their talks or what are their takes or what are they doing? And then them going slower, I'm like, just get to the point because I want to hear what they have to talk about because some of them have some pretty good takes.
Yeah.
So when some of them were thinking the same thing I was thinking, I was like, okay, we're on the same kind of path, or man, we were completely different. That's cool how this game can do 2 different things, and we see it different ways. And yeah,
Word. Carl, what about you? So I know you were like hyping it up to me. I know you told me that it's probably one of the greatest like openings to a game. Am I correct with that?
I still stand by that. That this is one of my favorite openings to a video game, probably of all time. I would say definitely a top 5 for our friend Mr. Jason over here. Uh, I like I said, I was just really impressed by what they did. It was definitely a fan service, I would say, to a lot of the fans, especially if you played, uh, say for example, Crisis Core, which I did before I played Rebirth. So obviously, just for some spoilers, the entire beginning of the game for Rebirth is basically like the final like act, basically of Crisis Core, but it's also redone and changed up to
Mhm.
reflect more of the story changes. I thought it was really damn cool. You know, like I was really blown away. Plus, on top of that, too, you got to see Best Boy Zach living out a alternate timeline at the same time going on. I was like, okay, I'm hooked. You know, they kind of say first impressions really, you know, make up your mind about a lot of games, and Rebirth really just kicks it off with such a strong opening where you're just going like, you know, you get that bit of fan service where you're like, our boys back, you know, boys are back in town, let's go, baby. And then on top of that
Mhm.
too, you get like this weird intrigue going on here. It's like, well, how is Zach here? And like now, like
Why
what's
is he
going
here?
on?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know. So, like I said, it's just like really strong opening. And like I said, it felt better too because, like I said, just that experience of playing them back to back to back, you know, to use a baseball term, back to back jacks, and you're just going over here and you're like, well, what's going on now, man? It's just like it helped like solidify the experience a lot more too for me because it was like so fresh in my head, just coming off of Crisis Core, and then you got this whole opening level basically dedicated to your boy Zach and everyone else. So it's really strong opening.
So what are your general thoughts like when you finish the game? Like what did you kind of walk away from? So we heard what like Jason said. Like what were you thinking?
When I got done with the game, there was I thought I was more disappointed with how much open worldness that they had in that game. But I felt like overall, like the ending, the storyline, what they were doing, just the fan theories I got behind it. Because I know Jason and I, once we finished it, like we had like an hour-long conversation talking about it. Because I'm like, I needed to decompress with someone.
Yep.
That's so
does that
funny.
too.
So, overall, I'd said like I understand why people had like an issue with the Rebirth in some aspects, but
I agree.
the people who were like upset about like story changes and stuff, I thought the story was really good, and they leave it in such a good place for the final like act, as they would say, quote unquote.
Mhm.
So I'm looking forward to definitely day one purchasing, this one and probably just getting into it. I like I said, my biggest issues, as I've said before, is like I hate Queen's Blood. Like I hated how much like I
Man,
had to
I
play.
hated
Queen's
it at
Blood.
first, but man, I at the end, I absolutely loved it. I got so good at it too. Like I'm like, how do you play this? And like the same thing as when you play Triple Triad in 8. You're like, okay, this kind of sucks. I have to play this. But then you're like, oh man, this is actually kind of fun. To me, Queen's Blood got really fun at the end, especially when you had to do certain things and find who actually was the queen and going to each character, and you're like, wait, you play that too? And you've been with my party the whole time, or how did you play this? And you're like, oh man.
That stuff was funny, but I liked Fort Condor more. That's just my opinion. I
It's it.
like the little strategy game that they threw in there. I did like
Mhm.
the throwback that they had to the Final Fantasy VII original sprites.
Oh man, when you see the original sprites, it's so good.
I know
I-
that was like such a treat to especially find that as like the open world. Like I did like the open world aspect, but it kind of dragged towards the end. But I did love finding that in particular in Fort Condor, where you get like Tifa, Barrett, and Cloud in their original FF7 PS1 sprite forms, fighting this like Shogun guy for like parts and stuff, and it was over the top funny. I enjoyed that. That's just what it was. Queen's Blood to me was just not as enjoyable as the Fort Condor side story.
So it's funny you guys talk about your like favorite mini games, and I'm gonna try not to jump ahead here, but my favorite one was Chocobo Racing because it felt so
It
much
is a
like a
good job.
Mario Kart type of game, and I'm a Mario Kart fiend, or like a kart racer fiend, and I was like kind of worried about it. I was like, man, I hope like this Chocobo Racing is fun, but it was like very smooth and very responsive. I was very more responsive than some of the Sonic racing games, and those are like
Hmm.
it feels like you're driving a boat in those games, which is a bit annoying. But yeah, it was a blast, and I accidentally kind of found half of the kind of like the god tier armor, chocobo armor to like make your chocobo like the best it can be. And then my buddy, our mutual friend Nosferatu, he showed me another piece that I was missing that would make me just like top speed. And I was just smoking like every race with like a max, like a huge distance in front of everybody. The only difficult race was the final one. Like the once you do the gold cup and you get to like the very bottom of the gold cup, that last race was actually a bit tricky because they made the AI a little bit like smarter and also a little bit OP, I think, in some of the sections.
Oh, yeah.
Anyways, but yeah, so yeah, you guys had like your different reactions to it, and it's funny the theme you guys had to like basically decompress after like what just happened in the final act of this game, I should say. I had a similar type of situation where it's like, man, like what did I just like witness? Like it was like you just have to sit on it for a minute and think about it, and then like my wife watched me play the whole game, so I like we talked about it and just tried to decompress what had happened. But I remember I talked to both of you guys. I talked to, of course, my friend Nos. But somebody else that I really liked, not talking to, but going to watch their reaction that Jason knows is Maximilian Dude. And watching him play through the game, because like he's a massive fan of the game, and he's got a lot of people watching him when he plays it. Especially that opening section, because he got to preview the whatchamacallit, the first chapter when you're playing as Cloud and Sephiroth. You got to preview that.
Yeah, you have to preview that.
Yeah, and then what was funny is like when the game starts, and it doesn't start with that section, it starts with the whole Zack situation. Right. He was just like, "Wait, what's going on? This is all new." Like his reaction was like priceless, because I didn't know that. I didn't know he did that, and I certainly didn't know that they were gonna throw the Zack section in. But knowing what I knew going into his stream, it was really funny to see that reaction.
Dude, and like the part after that makes so much sense to start as well, because that's like when the game finishes, you're like, okay, you're gonna start in Nibelheim, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do that. It sounds so much perfect, but then you're thinking that, but then again, they pull a fast why is Zack still around? Yeah, why do Zack still around? And then they're just like, we could probably put them in the beginning. It doesn't change much, and then they do that. You're like, man, that was so smart, and holy crap, and what? And then as the game continues, you see a theme with that kind of going on. And you're like, oh, okay, what the hell?
I did like, since we're talking about the beginning of the story too, that Cloud is regaling the tale to the party. Man. And like you can have fun where you're like, yeah, I went into Tifa's room and I was like looking through her stuff,
Yes. Yeah, that very true to the original, like 99% true to the original. I know that whole sequence was really funny, and then what I liked, and all three of us we played Crisis Core, was just seeing Cloud's mannerisms, but it wasn't Cloud. It was obviously Cloud thinking he was Zack, but the mannerisms that they were able to put or animate, I should say, with the Cloud character was like, to me it was like unsettling, because you're like, that's not Cloud, that's like Zack's movement or how he talks, the chipper voice and everything. And my wife was saying the same thing. She's like, because she watched me play Crisis Core, and she's like, what is going on here? Because she didn't, at this point, she only knew up until Remake and Crisis Core, so she had like all of that was all new to her. And I'm like, well, you just gotta keep watching. But what did you guys think about that? Like, that was because in the original game, you don't really find out about you don't even see a lot of the animations other than like the squatting animation in the truck, and you're like, well, why is Cloud squatting in the truck, right, in the OG game? And they didn't have the technology to like really show the difference between Zack and Cloud, and that's only because you don't find out about that until later on in the game. But from this first perspective, like, what do you think about that, Jason? Like, oh wow, they're like really trying to I don't know, sell it to you like this is not the same character.
Yeah, no, it was great. The reason why is because of just, again, I was always a semi-Cloud fan, even back in the original game. I mean, he had the cool sword, he was the main character, I thought he was cool and all that kind of stuff, but all I kept thinking to myself is like, this guy's an asshole the whole time, and like he doesn't know what he is. And then in the original, when he do the Cloud's coma stuff, I'm like, can I just leave him there? But then you find out why he's like that. But then again, he has reasons to be there. He hasn't felt himself ever. And then when he has those mannerisms of being like, who cares? Or I always do the whole like original 7 where he just puts his hand out and just kind of like shrugs. I don't know, or I don't care kind of thing. Yeah. It just kind of does that kind of stuff. So when he is chipper, or when he is doing anything that's happy in a way, I'm like, only one person know he was ever happy, and that's Tifa. And that's not really true either, because he always sulked. Like, he was always just a moody, sulky person, even though when he was happy. So when you see him doing like combination of the two, I'm like, okay, that's really cool. Or wait, that is the other guy. Yeah. Or wait, what? You like, then you start questioning yourself, just like how he's questioning himself, because he doesn't know what it is. You're like, wait, which version are you right now? Are you this? Are you that? Are you trying to do this? Are you just pretending? Because there's ways that he just pretends with it too. Like, he goes around and does stuff and just pretends. Yeah, there's just so much that he does.
Yeah, I was gonna say, definitely can't really get used to Chad Cloud because that's Zach's role to be the Chad.
Yes.
Mhm.
Best boy Zach.
Best boy Zach, and then Cloud is supposed to be like the more brooding, moody, kind of
Teenager.
mysterious guy. You know, like that's what they're all technically like really young in this game, even still.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's crazy how young they actually are, and they're like one owns a bar that does hide stuff out at a bar that is trying to overthrow the government that's dropping plates on certain poor areas, and the other one's the bartender that's wearing clothes that's weird at that area, but we'll take it, and she's the best girl. And then the other one is just this person that's a flower girl that's that you meet, and she's just selling flowers in a slum, and you're like, okay, why are you doing that? Like there's just so many weird things that they do, but you're like intrigued, just like, okay, why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? There's got to be a reason why you're doing that.
Yeah, it's the old Japanese trope of like, we got a world-ending problem, send in the teenagers.
Yes.
Yes, yes. Well, one thing, I'm actually really glad that I was able to play Intermission, which is the DLC for Yuffie, in
You mean
between.
Intergrade?
Well, Intergrade is the PS5 edition of Remake. Intermission is technically like that section of the game. It's called Intermission, for like the anyways, that's what it's called. And so, because when you beat it, you get some more cutscenes, and then you actually get an extra one with the crew getting picked up by Chocobo, not Sam, Chocobo, the Chocobo guy, Bill. I'm trying to draw a blank,
Yeah.
but
I believe it's Chocobo Bill. If my brain's working at this time of the day, I'm 100% Chocobo Bill.
yeah,
Chocobo
you and me,
Bill.
you and me both. So, because like it was interesting because I remember seeing the Max streams and the people talking about like where are they gonna start Rebirth, and then they were able to set it up to where like it was exactly at Calm where Cloud's recounting what happened in Nibelheim, and that last kind of sequence was perfect. But the only one that's really confusing is the one with Zach at the church, and he like walks inside, and then like there's a bunch of people praying, and it's like, okay, well, how does that relate to everything else that we saw in Rebirth? Because that was like really confusing. I don't know if you know anything about that, Jason, like if that's been pieced
So,
together, because I haven't seen it.
This is what I think. So you remember the part where Aerith in Rebirth pushes Cloud into the thing and just says and gives her the white materia,
Yes.
and then you see Sephiroth is the scariest thing ever coming behind him because that's like the Omega Sephiroth in my opinion.
Yes.
My thinking is that scene that we saw there is after that. Because
Oh,
like
yeah.
everything, like if you take the scene, like the scenery, if you take everything, to me it looks like that is what would connect. I could be 100% wrong because that's what's the beauty about this is there's so many different random theories that you could come up with it, and they all could be true, and they all could be false. Who knows? But they all have a really good, idea. But that that Sephiroth was the scariest Sephiroth ever, and I think that Zach was part of there. And yeah, there's going to be some messing around with that.
You know, it makes sense because I think the fans had determined that when he opens his doors, you see a bunch of people and they're crying and they're holding flowers. They said the flowers are like funeral flowers or something.
Mhm.
And so that would make a lot of sense then if that was in that type of like that sequence. But we'll get more to that later because holy cow, that gets
Yes.
like really deep. But yeah, so that first chapter was insane, and yeah, Carl was right when he said like it was insane, like first two chapters, because I remember playing through it and I'm like I knew like, well, Jason and I know like what we're getting into, like the general consensus of it, but we're like not ready for like level 11 of what they're gonna do with like the graphics and the music and the character expressions and the storytelling. I mean, just to put a pause on the whole Sephiroth going insane and like burning the town, like attacking the town, and like you're just like crawling through the mud trying to like stop him. Holy cow, that whole sequence was dark, especially he's like going around like stabbing people while they're laying on the ground, and
It was crazy in the OG, and they just made it feel more personal in
Oh, yeah.
a non-personal way. It's so crazy.
And then like one thing my buddy Nos, he pointed out to me, he's like the twitch the twitch in Sephiroth's eye, or the facial expression, sorry, where he like
Yeah.
looks at Cloud, slightly smiles, and then his eyes go like blank. and he like turns away. It's like really, really creepy, like unsettling. And
You could tell he just gave up. Like that part of his will to do anything. It's like I'm done with this. I'm taking over. Like I really never had control of anything. Now it's my turn. And holy crap.
yeah. All right, so I gotta give a quick shout out to a couple people that came on here. Dread Roberts, what's up, man? Appreciate you coming. Pacific 414, and of course the one person that should not be here right now, the Nerdporeal Life Form. Sir, you need to leave this stream and go play the game. You need to go finish it before we can talk about it. Now I will give him props. He did complete Crisis Core, which was before he came to Japan. So, but you need to go and play finish Rebirth, dude. So. I'm not responsible for spoiling your little virgin ears about what's gonna happen next. So, but Pacific's cool. He's played the game. He beat it. I watched him stream it, or I listened to him stream it last year. So, he's all right. Yeah. So tell me about that experience, Carl, with the whole Nibelheim village burning and Sephiroth going insane. Like, how was that for you? Because to my knowledge, like you saw that in Crisis Core, but now you got to see it in like Rebirth, and it's a little bit more flushed out.
So I like I said, I did enjoy the whole burning village and Sephiroth going insane. You know what I mean? The only thing I kind of did get a little bit annoyed with, like you guys are talking about the crawling. I was like, yes, here we go. You guys show off the dual sense now. This is what you got to do. Hold the trigger, crawl around, crawl around. It's kind of like. That's the part I specifically remember getting just a little annoyed at that because it's like, oh, this is a little bit of a just trying to fulfill that contract to Sony to pull that off. But you didn't play it with a DualSense controller, right? You played it with Xbox controller. What'd you play with?
Yeah, I was I was a dirty boy and I played with the Xbox controller. Yep.
Yeah, so I guess I want to ask Jason because you and I are the only ones that played on the PS5, I believe. What did you think about the DualSense thing?
I didn't care for it as much. Again, I was too invested in what they were telling me, and I was too on the edge of my seat because like they're telling me this part of the story of a game that I absolutely loved. I'm like, wow, they're showing to me it this way. So I wasn't like really caring, and the crawling was just be like, wait, he just burned this village to the ground and doesn't care, and he's trying to crawl to him, be like, what's going on? Why'd you do this? We were just fine. I felt like a few minutes ago or hours ago, and it was a little weird, but not enough to burn this hometown of mine to the ground. What are we doing? Like, what's going on? And then it was just that, and then a good way to kind of transition back into the where we're going to be at now, because we all know that's a cutscene from in the past and everything like that.
Yeah.
So I didn't care for it as much, but I can understand people be like, all right, can we just go like, could this be just a little shorter? Again, I understand completely, but I was just like, if it was a movie, I'm watching it and I can just see that motion in a movie, and I was okay with it.
Yeah, I do agree with you. Like, if they would have just let me crawl like a normal person, like I feel like it was just more like it subtracted from that moment just a little bit for me.
Like they had to put it there.
Yeah, that's what it was. I kind of was giggling more than like I was like mad, but I'm just like, it was still a really good moment. Like you said, you got Cloud crawling over there. Like it, like I said, really sets the tone of like what this scene should be, and like really flushes out like.
Technically what the game's gonna be.
Yeah, setting it up that quickly. I'm very curious to try it now in the future whenever I get my hands on one, because like I said, I played with a normal Xbox controller, so there wasn't like any extra like feedback to it or whatever, so it just felt like a normal like crawling scene, if that made sense. But I'm with Jason where I was like so enthralled with the moment that like I was just kind of like moving a character in a movie and just like really absorbing what was happening around me. So that now actually we'll talk about that later because I have a question about the haptic stuff later. But yeah, so going forward from there, like the whole sequence and seeing that go down, and then they're chatting about it in Calm, and then we had something interesting that happened in Calm, which is where basically Tifa kind of like challenges like Cloud's memory, but not directly to him. She kind of talks to
Dude,
Aerith about it, which is like completely out of
yep.
nowhere because that wasn't really shown in the original game. So, like, what were you thinking about when you saw that, Jason?
Tifa knows something. Tifa's in on something, and she's not telling anything. She knows everything, and yeah, it's the almighty Aerith that we saw and everything like that, and Tifa. They know what's going on, and they are not letting us know.
Yeah, because it's implied that they chat with each other about private stuff. You see that
All the
throughout the
time.
game.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's very different than the original game, which I think it's pretty neat because it gives them a bit more mystery to it. What did you think about the little like joke, or not even joke, but it was kind of like a writer's joke about Aerith saying like, yeah, my back kind of is like sore or hurting, and when they're like sitting on the couch next to each other. I don't know if you caught that. It was just like implying like what's gonna happen later on in the game, like right at the beginning. That was
It's so good. Like they know, like they have new fans coming in, and they know they have people like us that are going to try to dissect every type of dialogue.
every
So when
scene.
they can throw anything like that, yeah, when they can throw something in there, be like, "Ah, we got you a little bit." And then again, people like going into this, people were thinking like, "Oh, things could change enough. Maybe she doesn't die." So maybe they're just saying like her back hurts because of that, not knowing maybe she can still live or anything crazy like that. So
Right.
yeah, anytime they can just say got you, they're going to do it.
Of course, gotta keep it interesting.
Oh yeah.
Now, the City of Calm, man, what a like a restoration, or I don't even know like how to be funny about this, but like a facelift that it got, because like it looks
Mhm.
amazing in this game compared to like the original game. And what were your thoughts about it, Mr. Open World lover Carl? Like, what you think about the first little town that you're like running around in?
Uh, I kind of just got out of there as fast as I could.
Got out of dodge, as they would say.
Yeah, because it was just more like tutorial, just run around, meet some shopkeepers. You did like the first little quote unquote like date kind of thing with Aerith. I got that kind of done. I think you do something with some of the other people in your party just to talk to them and kind of do the little growth building. But then I just got past the whole thing, got to the hotel, and got out of that city just as fast as I could because it was just like, here's tutorial area, try out Queen's Blood, and then I'm like, I don't want to play Queen's Blood. I want to get out of here.
Yes. Okay, yeah,
So,
I was in the similar boat, but because I had a passenger watching, I needed to explore the city a bit more. So otherwise, I would have been the same thing. I would have been like, I just want to get the story going and seeing what's crazy is gonna happen next.
yeah, I wouldn't say like it's bad per se. Obviously, it's like the tutorial area. It's like, hey, get reacquainted a little bit with some of the mechanics and features that you're going to need to learn later on. Like I said, the open world stuff I actually loved. I want to say for like the first 5 parts, and then I got to Gungaga, and that's when the open world stuff really started to bother me.
Oh yes. Now,
So like
oh
everything at the beginning of the game, like I said, was pretty fun. That I enjoyed. I once we got out of Calm, that's where I think like the game actually really starts to shine early on,
yeah.
especially with some other stuff. But I think you want to hear Jason's part about Calm before we move on to the world after Calm.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask Jason, like, what are your thoughts about besides Calm, but like how they start the game off, where I think you start out at like level 20, and then also if you have a save file for the previous game, you get to like have a couple summons early, and I think a couple items as
Mhm.
well. I know a lot of people were like hoping and dreaming that you would start off at like level 50, like the end of remake, and then like have all your money transfer over it, like thinking that it was going to be kind of like the
No,
original game, where I knew going in, I was like, they're not going to do that. They're going to start everybody kind of
no.
from not zero, but at least like a certain reasonable point. But
Yeah.
do you think that was like handled like pretty well?
Yeah, I mean, because people are gonna like grind and they're gonna make their character ridiculously strong. So bringing that into the second part of the game is gonna be like, we want to still have you have a challenge. We still want you to do this. We don't want to make these. We don't like. Again, this is on them. I'm assuming we don't want to program our our AI to have to like match yours, which would be ridiculous to do anyway. So why don't we just give you at a decent level that we think you would be after you got out of Midgar from the original game, and we would just give you this random stuff and just go from there. So like 20, I thought was totally fine. Just because again, I wasn't looking to be maxed out stats and my Barrett not being able to take any damage from my last game into this one. I have to learn how to renew, do these materias and everything like that. So I was fine with it.
Okay. And for Calm, like, are you with me? Like, it was just really cool to see kind of like a different version of it. Where I liked, now don't get me wrong, I liked the original version, just like the aesthetic to it.
Yeah.
But it felt like this one had way more life, kind of implying the theme of this game was life itself. So, yeah, go ahead. If you got more to say about it, go ahead.
No. I'm kind of with I'm with both of you actually on the same way. So anytime I've got to a town, I'm like, oh my god, these are the towns that I fell in love with. So I have to run around every part of it. But then after I get done running around everything, doing what I'm supposed to do, I'm like, all right, that story is now in the back of my mind. I have to get out of here so I can go do that part of that story. So I'm like, I'm in between both of you because I completely understand. It's like, I'm here. I need to get out of here because I want to see what's next. Because that's what I always kept saying. That's my always phrase in the game is what's next? What's next? So like seeing everything is great, but what's next?
Yes.
I love this. I got to see what, like I'm here, but I'm already thinking, all right, are we going to get to Cosmo Canyon in this game? That's going to be ridiculous. Are we going to get to this? Are we going to get to that? And this is me just starting the game, but loving what I'm seeing and running around is what is saying I have to, if they're doing this to this, what are they going to get to when I get to this part? What are they going to do when I get to this part? Oh man, I got to get there. What's next? What's next? It's like, it's crazy.
Yeah. And for me, one of the early moments that kind of blew my mind was stepping out of Calm. So after you kind of like evade Shinra and you get outside and you just get like the opening scene of like the countryside and you're like, holy cow, this is 2024 or 2025 now. Like this is a video game, how beautiful everything looks, the lushness of the grass, the light, the colors, like good grief. It was, I was just blown away by all of that. And I'm playing on a PC with I was playing at the more than what recommended graphics card level, so it looked really well and it ran really well. But for you guys playing on PlayStation 5, like how was that for you, Carl? I know you're a big I know you're a frames guy, so how was it for you?
When I went to performance mode, I did notice like a dip in kind of like the quality from on afar on characters. Mostly it was fuzziness. Like some stuff became noticeably fuzzy, but you kind of eventually lose that where you're playing the game more. You kind of tune it out, and it just fades into your background, and your eyes adjust to it better.
All right, and yeah, what about you there, Jason?
So when people were talking about like some of the performance issues, like I completely understand. Like there was some of the times where you were like, if you were in part of the cave, but you saw some of the light from like a town from out there, like you can see the lighting be a little weird.
Yeah.
But I'm not the biggest graphical person. As long as it's not breaking my game and I can play it at 60 frames or 120 frames, I don't care what it looks like. I kind of rather just it play well than look well, in a way. Because all games to me I think look great. There are some games that obviously look worse than others, but that's because you could tell the developers didn't take the love and care with it. But if they're taking the love and care of it this way and it looks the way that this looks, I only get mad. It's like, it would be cool if everything was perfect, but like perfect is a really hard thing to attain. But if it was just that is my only complaint, not a big deal. But again, the people that have these crazy TVs or I have a PS5 because I wanted this to be perfect, I completely understand. But again, there's why there was going to be a PC port, because again, Remake was the same way. Everybody had a little issue there, and they played on the PC. Like, oh wow, that's what the game should have looked like. It's just little things, but I understand 100% when people were talking about that.
And now it's gonna look even better on the Switch too.
Yeah, right.
I had to say that. I just had to say that.
Well, it's like I don't have a problem with the graphics. The game still looks beautiful.
Yeah.
The thing I said was at first, like when you're going between the filters,
Yeah.
You could
There
see
was, there
like
was an issue.
Yeah.
you could see the fuzziness, but it wasn't like as bad because I think
No.
also I played it like way later when there was like patches and stuff.
There was a lot of
And
patches.
yeah, and you played it early. You know what I mean?
I played it.
Like
Yeah, I
the
played it day
1.0
negative.
edition, right?
Yeah, I played it negative, day negative, whatever. I can't say
Yeah.
the exact negative because I don't want to get super in trouble if somebody listens to this.
Oh.
But yeah, I played it negative, whatever. And like I said, I saw the game perform better and better and better as it continued, as my adventure continued, which was cool because I took it as I'm starting this new adventure this way, the game's running this way, and as I got to the end, the game's running a little bit better, and it's running a little bit better. So I took it as a different way, just how I played it. It's weird to take it that way, I understand, but I thought that's how I just did it.
Yeah, like I was saying, the performance I had when I finally played it, I was flawless. I didn't have any frame
Yeah.
drops, I don't think ever. And
again,
it
I'm
played
not
well.
saying that yours. Yeah, I'm just talking about like the other people that like were like when they were talking about the game, they're like, oh, why is it this way? This is a PS5 game. You know, why is it doing this? Why is it doing that? Like, those are the more that I'm not attacking because that's a bad way to say it. But those are the people that I'm like, are you looking at the same game I'm looking at? Because if you're not, I want to see what you are because I'm curious on what you are looking at.
Well, what I think is crazy is once you've unlocked like all the regions, specifically like the two main continents, you can traverse from one end of the continent to the other completely on foot with like no loading. Or no loading screens, sorry, no loading screens. Obviously, stuff is like preloading ahead of you and like deloading behind you or whatever, but it's like this is insane for a game of this size that it's able to like show everything on screen. Now, I had some kind of weird loading stuff happening on the PC. I don't know if it was just because of I don't think it was my settings. I think it was just like maybe there was like the patches weren't there yet, but because sometimes I would turn the camera and then like you'll see a couple rocks like render in the distance. It's like, okay, that's a bit weird. But normally, like if there's a mountain range in front of me, everything's like kind of in view and it's loaded already, and it's just like wow, like it's ready to go and it looks amazing. Now, I was kind of curious how they're gonna handle like the quote unquote open world aspect to it, which they kind of just did like. I mean, it is open world, but they did like these open regions, so everything's like isolated in regions, and it's crazy because you look at the map, and for somebody like me and Jason who knows like the grasslands region, and it's like this small section of the continent, it's just like holy smokes! Like there's like if they had the technology, they could have done the whole map, but it would have made no sense because it's like if you're traversing across it, like you're just gonna be traversing out in the countryside, and that would have not have been as like maybe entertaining. So how they split it up per regions, I thought was pretty neat. I don't know what you thought about that without diving into your issues with the fatigue there, Carl. But like, what did you think about just the region segregation that they did with that?
I think they did a good job with it. I had no issue overall with just how they like did these regions per se. It's just like towards the end, it was just kind of getting like, okay, I just want to beat the game.
Yeah.
That was like my only thing.
Okay.
It was more so like I think I must have put like over 40 hours into this game. So I want to say like around hour 30, I was like, I'm kind of just done exploring the thing. I want to land this plane, as you would say.
We'll talk about.
And I think.
Oh, go ahead.
And again, I think, and the reason why you felt that too, and because I kind of have that way as well, because I didn't finish all the side quests. I mean, I'm talking about how much I love this game, and I didn't finish all the side quests. The reason why I felt that way is because the story was so intriguing that when they put something in between you as like a little intermission before you got to that spot, you're like, why is it now? Like, you just gave me a great carrot dangling in front of me. I would love to go over there and grab it, but you're putting this little mini game in front of me, or this little area in front of me before I can go grab that thing. Like, don't do that. Like, don't put a great story beat in front of me and then tell me to do something completely opposite. Like,
yeah,
you could have paced it a little bit weird, like differently in a way, but not really. And I would have been okay with it, because now after you get done grabbing that carrot, you're like, wait, that carrot leads to another one. And then you're, it's like the piece of candy. You're like, crap. And then next, you're like 40 miles away from something that you could have done because you were really close to it, or you're further away than you thought you were, and you're like, do I really want to turn back around, or there's probably more candy in front of me? Let's go grab
Yeah,
more candy.
because Pacific says it the best here. Some of the mini games seem to be there just to have them there.
Just to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's been like one of my big complaints with this game is they really love their mini games in this one for
Yeah.
sure, comparatively speaking. But
The game's so big enough, they're like, how can we make it longer? And again,
Yeah,
that's not a bad thing. They're like, we have a really long game, but we can fit more into this because we want to give you as much for you as much as we want. Let's just put more in there in front for you.
I see. This is where I disagree with you a little bit there.
Okay.
They already had this giant open world that was like fun to explore.
Right.
So for example, like we're talking about the grasslands. I loved running back into that gang that you got in remake.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
forget
Dude,
their
they're
names,
so great.
Yep.
Yeah.
but like that was
everyone
fun.
has it. That game is great.
Yeah, but it was like fun to rediscover them. It's fun to do all the side missions, to kill the beasts in like quick times, trying to complete all that stuff. Like busy work, as I like to say. It's like just to keep you
Yeah.
going. It gives you that open world like Ubisoft feel, that a lot of Ubisoft's games does, but it doesn't feel like it's just go point A, light tower, go to point B, light tower, look at eagle in sky, you get it, like Ubisoft games do.
hmm
Like it actually felt like you were getting rewarded to go do these side quests, which is something I actually did enjoy for a long time.
Mhm.
But because they kept putting all these stupid mini games in the way, like I don't want to play Queen's Blood, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that. Like they were forcing me to kind of slow down and waste more time. And as somebody who's kind of like talked about like this is like a problem with like industry overall, like insane over the top budget prices and like how long it takes to make these games, like how much dev time and money did they waste adding more like busy work just to artificially slow down the game. Like if they would have
No, I-
removed it, I think they could have like streamlined this just a little bit more and got it out a little bit faster and saved a little bit of money. That's my only
Yeah.
like complaint with the side work that I was doing, like playing like all that stuff. But at the same time, a lot of it was still fun because it still like rewarded you. It was just kind of like a trade off, a catch-22. Like you do all the Queen's Blood, you get rewarded. It's
Yeah.
kind of like you do all the Fort Condor, you get rewarded.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like let's look like how we were just talking about it like at the beginning of the stream is like all three of us had different favorite part of mini games. Like if they were to cut one of those, like obviously one of them would like what we would have tied and one would like the other one, but like we all like different mini games that they presented towards us. Like that's how crazy, like how well that they did for each one, in my opinion. Because we all had favorites. Like I like Queen's Blood, you like Fort Condor, we like the Chocobo Racing. But again, if we didn't like those, they were still good enough to be presented to us.
There was something there for everybody, and not everything was there for some, like for you individually. So like you can always
Yeah.
just like, for me at least, I skipped the Fort Condor because I kept getting wrecked at like the third step, I think it was, or the third part of the mission. And then the really terrible the mini robot, the Chadley Jr. mini game. Holy cow, that one was atrocious. So I just skipped that one and waited till later, and I found a guide on how to beat it. But like the ones that clicked with me, like the Chocobo flying, I thought that was kind of interesting, or just the Chocobo racing. I like invested time into that because I was like, this is actually kind of fun, and that's just how it is with you guys with Fort Condor and Queen's Blood. Like there's just something there for everybody, and I think that's fine. I it's kind of funny because I know, Carl, you're saying like, yeah, they spent a lot of money on budgeting and stuff. I think yes, to a certain
they
degree,
did.
with the mini games, they did spend like maybe a bit too much time on that. But everything else around it was like ridiculous how much like what they spent on it. I mean, we're gonna get into it later, but like the whole Loveless sequence, it was just like insane. Like, what are they doing here? They're like, we're just gonna throw a whole like, kabuki theater into this, for lack of a better term, and you'll interact with it while you're doing that. And then don't even get me started on the parade as well. So
The parade part was great. Like I said, there's a lot of great moments in this game. but it's I think we joked about it, like the beach episode in the anime.
The
They also
anime
throw
beach
in here as
episode.
well. Yeah.
Oh yeah, 100%. There's a beach episode, and
Yeah.
again, but I think it's them making a nod. It's like we know that there's a beach in the original. How can we make it
Make it a beach anime
episode?
episode.
How can we make it where you have to go find
exactly.
these silly scooters and move them around and do these kind of things? It's like,
It-
how can we do that just to slow them down just a little bit?
Yeah.
It's like a Yakuza thing too. Like I know you said Maximilian brought this up as well. You said like it kind of feels like a Yakuza vibe. And I'm
Yeah.
like, there's something
Yeah.
going on with like Japanese devs and like segways or something. Like you live in Japan, is it like a whole new like underground segway movement I'm aware of that's going on over there?
Well, actually, ironically, you say that. The last couple years, I've noticed not segways, but a lot of electric scooters out in the streets. I don't know if there's any correlation to it, but like I didn't think I would see that a lot. Like they're kind of like rental scooters, you know, like they're electric power, and you see them like people taking them all over the place. But yeah, I just thought it's just kind of funny that they did that in the game with the segways. If I can address specific real quickly, so he says that he agrees with you, Carl, about he wasn't interested in the busy work. Oh no, sorry, my bad. He said that's how I was, Carl. I wasn't interested in the busy work, and I was more focused on the main missions. Now I know he's a fan of the original game, Pacific over here, so I know he's played it, and I watched him play a little bit of this game back when it first came out. I know you can let us know in the chat, man, about some issues you had with the game or what you really liked about the game. Well, we'll read it live, but we're gonna keep the conversation going here with. I want to talk about the battle system now. Man, have they really fixed it to a certain degree, but also like expanded upon it. And I was, at least personally, I was not expecting the whole like Chrono Trigger teching that they were doing. That's like the only game I can really relate it to. The dual teching with the synergy attacks. I did not expect see that coming unless they like advertised it and I just missed it. That was like really cool to like have that in used in the game, as well as like the whole like folio system with like you're like leveling up your weapons that way, and you get like abilities and like stat boosts and all that. Like what were your thoughts when you like kind of first got your hands on that there, Jason?
So I knew part of the they were saying because again when the game was coming out, again characters is what they were throwing at us, and again I love that so much because that's what I love. And they said like each character has like their own bond with each other.
Yeah.
So each other or they're doing something like I had a feeling they were gonna do something with that because I kept saying, oh, each character has their own bond. So
Yeah.
just see what happens. So when you got when you did Aerith and Barrett's bond, and then eventually Aerith is wearing Barrett's glasses, and that's so freaking cool because they're becoming more friends, or you see this friendship as these guys are going around. You could just I'm glad they did that because originally you can tell they eventually kind of become friends in a way, and I say kind of because you know how Cloud is. But you see these people becoming friends and everything is just building that way. And now, hey, you can have these people in your party, but if you do well enough, hey, you can have the special attack, or you could do this, or maybe you don't want this bond. Maybe you want to have this bond instead, or whatever you want. But by doing that, they give you special moves or special anything that you'd like.
Yeah, that was it was really cool to see just like the bond system and the relationships. I mean, that's another theme of the game is the whole relationship stuff,
Mhm.
and just seeing that being used in the battle system was really cool, and it really kind of you had to kind of think about like who should I, at least early on in the game, like who should I focus on buddying up with and utilizing together because of their either their the cool attacks that they did, or just like I don't know, I guess the specific moves that they did, the patterns, like if that would help you in certain battles. Like anyways, it was just like a lot of like new stuff, and I like seeing a lot of new stuff, and the aerial combat that was added as well with at least like Cloud and Yuffie too, right? Like oh yeah, of course Yuffie, because that was
Yuffie's so
from
broken.
yeah, from the intermission DLC. Like Holy cow,
Oh, yeah.
the air combat was like, I know a lot of people like complain that like in remake that it was like annoying trying to attack flying enemies, and they basically resolved it in this game, and that made it a lot more fun. And giving Cloud a range attack too was like very, very nice, especially for like building up your ATB bar. So go ahead, Carl. Like, what did you think about because you basically play these games like back to back. So like, how was it going from remake and into rebirth, and just seeing kind of like an evolution in the combat?
It was just nice to have like this, flash and the spectacle, like added more into it. I did love the combo moves that they had, especially because they were like funny depending on your character
Yeah.
that you were like doing the combo with. I mostly was rocking when I could. It was always Aerith, Yuffie, and Cloud when I could.
Yes.
So I like those combinations a lot too. Only because like I really like the voice actress for Yuffie. Like she really did a
Does a
good
great job.
job selling
Yeah.
her. She's
Yeah.
like- I know we've talked about it before on other things too, because you played it in Japanese,
Yep.
and we played it I think in English. I don't know what Jason did. You played it in English, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. No, Brianna White to me as Aerith is one of the best castings and best Aerith of all time. Like when I hear her just talk normally, like she is Aerith. Like she has this random weird chipper version of herself when anything is bad, and that's how she is normally. And when she just talks normally, I'm like, that's what Aerith would be like. She's great.
Yeah, and to go back on the combat point here, it was just well done. Like the combat was like the
Mhm.
only thing I didn't have an issue with at all to like complain about even once. I was just fully in on it. It felt like it was a great improvement from remake, and especially going from Crisis Core, which was basically PSP combat style, to
Yep.
this. It was even more better. I don't think that's how you would say it. It was vastly improved, obviously, but like I said, it really hits that because this is more of an action RPG, not a turn-based one.
Yep.
But it still has those like really signature like Final Fantasy summons and crazy over the top like animations that you get for doing like the special moves. That's kind of like where I think the balance came in for like the old school heads who were like still love the turn-based Final Fantasy. Is like they still gave those turn-based heads their big
Oh, man.
spectacle. You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
here's
When remake came out and they said it wasn't turn based, I was one of those people that were like, blasphemy, blasphemy. And then obviously remake's one of my favorite games. So like, yeah, give it give it a try. They do a great job.
Yeah.
yeah, and I think they just took it to the next level in this game too, especially with
They
the
100%.
Oh yeah, yeah. That without a doubt.
I want to also add this to while we're talking about the combat. What I really loved about Rebirth over Remake was that they forced you to play as all your party members at some point and learn
Yes.
the
Yep.
different combinations and stuff like that. That to me, I loved it because, like I said, when I got the chance, it was Aerith, Yuffie, and Cloud. That's all I would like to play with. But I did love that they forced you to play as like Barrett and Red, or Barrett and Yuffie and Tifa, or Tifa and like different combinations. Like they actually forced the player to go out of their like comfort food and their like safety blankets, I guess you could say, and they forced you
safety
to
blankets is a good way to push it. Yep, safety
Yes.
blankets is a great way to say it.
yeah I like I said, that for me in particular was something I very much enjoyed because like I said, I could like I think a lot of people who play like JRPGs, especially turn-based ones, like they find their parties, they try to find like the most broken combos, they just stay in their ways, they don't change too much. It's like Pokemon.
Yep.
As a Pokemon player, it's like everyone just has their like favorite party that they'll default to, and then they'll just run with that. Like they don't change, So I will give the devs like just for gameplay aspect, not just for in terms of combat, but forcing players to like actually spend time, upgrade, and learn like the combos with their like party members and stuff like that. I give them an A for that part. Just trying to make players like not play. Well, they're going to play the same outcome, but not like forcing you to play the same outcome every time you play with like the same party members.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like give these guys a chance too, because you might like these characters better than what your safety party is, because they can be broken as well. And you're like, oh wait, because like Yuffie for me, I was like, I'm never gonna play Yuffie because the original, like I like Yuffie, but I'm like never the biggest fan. But I was like, if I didn't care for my party, Yuffie would definitely be in there. Like just because like A, she's great for her personality, and B, she's so good. So I'm like, ah man, it was tough cutting them. And that's the best part is like you want them all to be in there. So when you have to make the cut, you're like, crap, I have to make a cut.
Yep.
Who do I don't want?
I just love like Yuffie's like run like a chocobo. Like I never got bored with
Sting
that
like
one.
a toneberry.
Yeah.
Yep.
I love that so much. It just always like made me joyful. Like I said, we were if you don't mind, I guess we could talk about like voice acting and
Yeah, go
characters
ahead.
and stuff because like one of my things that I know I think Jason disagreed with me on, and even AC kind of like mocked me when I was playing like remake and rebirth. One of the things I had an issue with, especially in the first game, was Tifa's voice actor, actress, I should say, the most
Oh yeah,
because her
we did have a little discussion. Yeah.
like my biggest issue was like her tone never reflected like the Tifa model. It's like actions, you know, like that was like the one issue I had. Where it's like in the first game, Tifa's like very expressive in that, and like she's doing all like the cutesy I'm a quirky anime girl kind of poses and stuff like that.
Yes.
And, and I know I made note of that, and I'm like I don't know what it is, but I'm just not feeling it from like the Tifa voice actress in this one. And in the second game, I feel like she got better. I think they did like a better job like making her model not as over the top quirky, because that's what I think too. What I've noticed from like the first game to the second game, they didn't have like as over the top quirkiness, and I don't know if you guys noticed that as well.
Just Yuffie felt quirky more to me,
Yeah.
and then every once in a while, Kate Sith or Kate Scythe, however you want to say it.
Cat Sith.
It's changed. Yeah, it's changed so many times in the last couple years. That's the only quirky ones that I have really noticed. And then if you really, really, really want to go down the rabbit hole, Vincent being so overly brooding, um, maybe that one. But yeah, everybody else was pretty much like when they make a facial expression, they're doing something. I'm like, yeah, they would make that. Like to me, that's what the original writers obviously, and that's what they would do.
Yeah, and that's the only reason I want to point that out too is, like I said, it was noticeable in the first game. I know I said it to at least both of you a few times when I was playing
Yeah,
the first
I
one.
remember that conversation.
Yeah.
And then like when we get to the second game, you know, I like I said, I really did enjoy kind of just like the more serious tone a lot of the party members had. Like you can't have everyone be serious, obviously. You got to have like, you know, it is a little bit of that like stereotype role or the archetype. You got to have some people fill that in.
Yep.
Uh and that's why I really enjoyed like I said, Eric's voice actress, Barrett, like his voice actor really brought it home in this one too.
Yes.
I think
Yeah,
Cloud's voice
there'll be a
actor
scene
got
we'll talk about later that's, man, it got me in the original game, and damn, they did a good job too here.
Mm-hmm.
like I would say, like everyone did better in this one. I still think Tifa was the weakest if you got all the cast together, and you had to tell me about that. But like I said, we were playing in English, so I was wondering about your thoughts about the Japanese voice cast there, Mr. AC.
Yeah, so out of all of them, Barrett is the weirdest one because he doesn't come off as a stereotypical black voice actor in Japanese, if that makes sense, because you know, it's all Japanese actors. So, but what they did with Barrett in Japanese is they made him the big comic relief besides like Yuffie, and there was one moment in the game that had my wife and I just dying laughing, and it's during Junon when you meet Yuffie, and she's like, you know, you rescue her or whatever, and she says like, you know, thank you, and then Barrett's just like, you're welcome, like in English, but the way he says it in Japanese it was funny because he was imitating this form of Japanese comedy where two people are on a stage and they're doing like a comedy bit, and they're kind of like teasing each other on stage live. and the way he did it was like was exactly that. And my wife just like died laughing because she thought it was just like it was so spot on for his character. But besides that,
Crazy.
all the characters like I would say, because obviously the game's originally done in Japanese, the English voice acting and the way they portray their voices is very close to the Japanese voice acting, like the mannerisms and the Zach is a little bit different. I'm not a big fan of Zach's English voice. I know it's different, right, Jason? Because the PSP one is a different voice actor than the new one. Am I right on that?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. I think Zach's voice actor is really good. He's the guy that sees no. I make fun of Zach because he's like me. We don't like, we can see the good and the bad in everything.
Yep.
But we're trying to bring out the good in everything. But we get made fun of that, and we try to just like, we just have this like chipper attitude. But deep down, we're like, yeah, we probably shouldn't be that happy, but we're still gonna be. Like, that's how I take Zach as, and that's why Zach again is one of my, like, as I've gotten older, Zach's became again best boy.
Yes.
Because that's how I look at it too. It's just like, yeah, things are shitty, but how can I be the person to make it not as shitty as it should be?
Yep.
But still be serious enough to know you have the right to feel that way, like, because we all do. And that's what Zach in his English voice does. He's a little bit over the top because of the higher pitch and everything like that.
Yes.
He talks in, but like when he's scratching the back of his head, he's like, oh, no problem, everyone, like, oh, I clumsy me, I fell when I really didn't fall, things like that. I'm like, that's what you should be. You should be the guy that takes all the hate that's around and just, even if it's hate or positivity, just kind of like bring it to you and just be like, hey, everything's okay.
Absorb it, yeah. You know what? The way you explain it, it definitely fits on par with his Japanese voice acting. I would say they kind of hit the mark with that. If that answers your question, Carl. Now I will say, later on in the game, there was one specific scene where I think it was like the English and the Japanese were so different that it affected me when I saw both. I did play back in the day. I played Remake in English, and I really enjoyed it. But now that I've played it in Japanese, I can play both. When I do my hard mode playthrough, because I'm probably going to stream that, I'm going to play in English just for the sake of the audience. But I can go either way. Just I'm used to either one. I think I will say the last thing I'll say about the voice acting. I think for a modern video game, for like the English voice acting is probably some of the best. At least for me, like I can't. I don't know, like some of these English voice actings from like Japanese games, they just don't hit their mark with their characters. Like they don't sound accurate, and that might be just because a lot of the Nintendo ones have been terrible with the English voice acting. But this one, Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth, I mean, I think it's like pretty spot on.
I think, yeah, I agree with you. They are like, I want to say, like, the two companies that really do English voice acting well for Japanese stuff. Square's number 2, number 1 is still Sega.
Oh yeah, Sega, yeah. Oh, for Japanese,
I don't know
right?
what it is. Yeah, to go from like, if you're gonna have like a localized cast where you got like English voice actors, like I still think Sega's like king at that.
Minus the
because,
Yakuza games.
Yeah, but that's different. We don't count that.
Yeah.
that
Try to
is
be like that.
it's their attempt to try to like branch out to more people.
Yeah.
But like, I give them a pass. They went like how many decades now with before they did that, but that's neither here nor there. I like, go on.
I was gonna say, actually no, my bad. You finish before I continue.
Well, you just derailed my thoughts, so it's okay. Go on.
So, did you guys know? And I didn't know this until my wife pointed out while we were playing. The Japanese voice actor for Reno passed away during, I think it was before Rebirth like came out. So I guess like she was trying to tell me, and I don't know how accurate it is, and maybe it's just her opinion, but that's the reason why he wasn't in the game so much, because like he didn't have a lot of lines, and so I don't know how they're gonna tackle. I mean, they have a new guy lined up right for the next game, but I'm not sure if you heard about that, Jason. The Japanese voice actor.
If I did, it must have been something passing, but that makes so much sense why that happened then.
Yeah, because she really liked him, and then she like offhand told me that comment. I'm like, I didn't even know about that, and
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Dude, the Turks are so good too.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Sorry. If you want to keep talking about characters, yeah, like go ahead and gush
No,
away.
no, just you're talking about voice actors. I'm talking about like voice actors. Like
Yeah.
even when we thought Elena was going to be whatever she was, like she was fantastic too.
Oh
And
yes.
she was,
Yes.
I guess she was an over the top character as a villain, but she was great as well.
Oh, for sure. And I think a lot of the side characters that you meet, like the mayors or those type of people, I thought like most of their voice acting was really well done. Oh, and then what's his
Oh
face?
yeah.
The old man in Cosmo Canyon. uh,
Oh yeah. Uh,
I'm forgetting
uh,
his name now.
oh, I had it and I lost it.
Oh my goodness. Ho-
Bugenhagen.
Yeah, he's got like a Copenhagen. No,
Yeah.
yeah, Bugenhagen, fantastic voice acting for both. But yeah, it was a very well done job. And oh this was, oh my bad, we forgot an important one. The voice actor for Red 13, and how it's the same guy that voices the old and the young version of 13. Um, that's crazy. Like, cause it's like this. It's two different sounding voices, but it's done by the same person.
Ooh,
I love it.
oh yeah. Yeah. When they change back and forth, you're like, wait, that's the same person. It's like this guy's like you could tell this person is in bed voice acting and does a
Yes.
lot of voice acting because how easy it is for him to change that quick on both of those voices.
Yep. Yeah, it was. Anyways, yeah, we can like definitely go on for
Yeah,
hours
yeah.
about it, but
Oh yeah. Again,
yeah.
like I said earlier, if you mention characters, it's why the game is great. Like
Yes, yes.
if you love character driven people or games and you haven't played this ever, I don't know why you're here because you're getting spoiled. But two, like you should like just sit down and play it. It's long, yes, but man, you're missing out on some of the best characters in video games ever.
So, moving forward with the game and some of the story stuff, I liked how they took an approach to the like quote dungeons that were in this game. So, like the first one you kind of hit is the Mithril Mines, and that's when you get
Mhm.
to you get forced into the Barret and Red 13 type of combo, and I thought that was like really cool because later on you do one with Yuffie and Barret and or wait, sorry, Yuffie, Barret, and 13 in the Corel Mount Corel area. And like just the dungeons in general were actually a lot of fun to go through, and they didn't feel like, they were hallways per se. Like they were just like, they were very interactive, they were like very beautifully designed. I like that they added the clamber feature in this game where you can like jump up and climb over like obstacles, because you kind of needed that for this game. If they didn't add that, then it would have been like a terrible experience. So that was really cool to be able to do that and explore a little bit that way. um but like for people like me and Jason, for example, Mithril Mine is like a very small part of the original game, and they like turn it into its like own chapter. Like, did you feel like moments like that in the game were handled like pretty well, where it wasn't like overdrawn, or it was like kind of like a perfect size chapter to tackle like that, like kind of like almost like pointless part of the game. I mean, I know in Mithril Mine you fight the Turks, right? That's kind of important, but besides that, everything else you do in the mine isn't like really that important. Like, what were your thoughts about how they took that approach to it this time around?
For me, I mean, if you can give again, I'm one of the weird people on that. If you can give me more on any of the really cool locations or any again of the cool ideas that make these characters who they become later on or what we're getting to, I'm okay with that. Um, Depending on what we do there is what will depend on how long I'm going to stay there. Again, if it's like again when we get to Cosmo, not Cosmo, but when we get to our beach episode, when we're doing little things like that, then I could be like, that doesn't make as much sense. But like when they're trying to become a team, because they're really not a team if you think about it yet, when they can do things like that to figure out what the hell's going on, I'm cool with it. And then just to see the set pieces, I love that. Like if you can, I would honestly would play a game where they could just be like, yeah, I'm gonna make all these Final Fantasy VII locations, and you're just a camera, and you can go walk around, like a walking sim.
Yes.
I would literally do that so I can feel and see what this world is, just because I love this world. So anytime they do anything like that, I'm cool with. And then if they throw anything story wise into, and especially with some of the characters that you're like, okay, the Turks, whatever, um, and you don't know much of them, and they're like, oh no, this is what they actually are, this is what they do, or like you can tell like, oh, the Turks, they're bad guys, but are they bad guys? Do they like what they're doing? Are they really for like? Then you can kind of think of like you get a little bit more thought process,
Yep.
and with the acting instead of us reading it, it's like, oh wow, the inflection on their tone, how I was reading it was way different back then to what they actually felt, and it's so great.
Yeah, man. Yeah, audio, voice acting, and stuff just really changes the scene up a bunch. Carl, what did you think about how like the mines were kind of like a quasi like tourist attraction? Because that's actually like a design choice or an aesthetic that they went with in this game. What was your thoughts about the dungeons in general, or like the Mithril Mine, for example?
Um, my thoughts about the Mithril Mines was I liked how beautiful it was, but necessarily speaking, I did not really like notice too much about like the whole tourist stuff. I just really did enjoy uh like I said, when were forced to play as Barrett and Red 13 more than anything else about it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I don't like I noticed when I walked in, I was like, what's this like design that's going on here with like the environment? And I'm like, oh, this looks like a national park type of like situation. And sure enough, it was. And it was cool to go through there. And then they split up with your two main characters there. The boss fight was pretty interesting against the because that was correct me if I'm wrong, Jason. Was that a new creature, or was that like a creature that they just turned into a boss fight? Because I don't remember that in the
I
original
believe
game.
that was an older creature they just turned into a boss fight because it was the Mithril Golem, if I'm not mistaken,
Okay.
right?
Yeah, that one. So kind of like the Hell House situation and remake.
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe it was like kind of like a smaller enemy, but they just like, hey, this is a smaller, like, what if we make an iconic enemy a boss?
Yeah.
I believe so. Like the Mithril Golem is what's coming to my head, and I believe that you did fight it. So
Yep.
if I'm wrong in your comments, chat, get me if you want. But I think so.
Um, After that, so we get through Mithril Mine, we fight the Turks, and I think that fight is when you see the Turks do the dual teching as well, and you're like, oh
Yep.
crud, these guys can do the dual teching, so you have to be like really careful because if you beat one of them too quickly and knock them out, then they'll get revived by the opposite person, and so that was like an
Mhm.
interesting fight mechanic that you had to pay attention to, which I believe that translated from the original game as well. So that was really cool. Just like, okay, we can't be overpowered. Like, we got to keep things balanced, and so the Turks gonna have to be just as tough as well. Um, yeah, I enjoyed that. It was really cool. And once we get out of the cave and we're into like the next big region, which is like kind of like one of my favorite parts in the game, going to the Junon. That was insane, and just seeing how it was kind of expanded upon even more, and some actually we forgot about something, but I'll get to in a second. Just like there's some new areas added, and some new like kind of like people you can interact with before we get into the city. But the chocobo system in the game, like Carl, what did you think about it? So I know like remake, you had the chocobo like stations, you can kind of like fast travel around, but in this game you can actually ride it, and each area, I know later on it kind of annoyed you, but like in the beginning here, you had like different chocobos that had different utilities. Like what did you think about it, at least early on, for that?
I enjoyed it until it got to be the gimmick. That's my opinion on it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's what I figured. I mean, it was a creative way of doing it because in the original game, the different colored chocobos had like different stats and whatnot, and also like they can traverse over mountains or over water or whatever. So they kind of like somewhat incorporated that into this game, but they stretched it out a bit more. But I can understand the fatigue because especially when you get to like Gaganga, oh boy. But yeah,
Mm.
anyways, Jason, like, what do you think about the approach to the chocobos that they did in this game? I know there's no like
Uh,
breeding, but
yeah. I there will be, I think, in the third one.
okay,
I think there will be. But yes, I think for what they had to do and try to keep everything, I completely agree with Carl. Like, it was awesome to see how they did it, but it did become kind of a chore later on. But I completely understand why they did it this way, because each region had their own different type of chocobo, and you're like, oh, this area has more, flying or more water, so it makes sense that this one would be here.
Yep.
Catching them kind of was a pain in the butt,
Oh
and
my goodness, yes.
I understand. Yeah, but I did understand. Like, I understand what they were thinking, but I do understand how it was a chore. Like, there was a couple times where I'm like, all right, this is my fourth try trying this. Can I just please catch this darn thing? Again, it's that piece of candy analogy I made earlier. It's like, why is this chocobo preventing me from seeing what's next? This shouldn't be hard, or this shouldn't be whatever it is. I should be able to catch this thing. So I do 100% agree that it does become a little gimmick later on, but I understand the gimmick.
I just want to ride Cloud Junior everywhere. Let's just go with that.
Oh my goodness. Okay, let's just jump into that right
That's true
away.
too.
I was not expecting that, and that was probably one of like the cutest things in the game was just the Cloud Junior, or not Cloud Junior, the mini chocobo, the baby chocobo. I know what you're talking about. Cloud Junior is like, well, sorry, Cloud Junior is the little bird that you see later on in the game, but you're talking about the mini chocobo, right, Carl? That comes up and leads you to the stops, the little chocobo stops.
Yeah.
Yeah, those. My wife like just melted every time that she saw one of those, because it was just like this cute creature that you can pet. Which I don't know if you noticed, but almost every region there was a different animation when you petted the little chocobo. I don't know if you guys noticed that. And like either Cloud or the chocobo gave a different kind of animation. Yeah, it was interesting, but and then was
Let's look at that.
yeah, you should look into it, because I noticed it after Junon. I was like, wait a second, like this guy's like acting a bit differently, or Cloud does like a different motion, and it's like, oh, that's kind of neat. I liked how
Interesting.
I liked how the
I didn't know that.
yeah, dude, go check it out. I'm not lying. Like this, it was like a little nice attention to detail on top of the coloring for the like baby chocobos, I guess you could call them. I liked how the baby chocobos look like they kind of matched their environment, so it kind of made sense as like a smaller creature to like match their environment, so they're not going to be easily picked off by predators. That's just like a thing that I noticed. Because like it would sometimes it'd be hard, you couldn't find them. Like the best example I can give you is Cosmo Canyon. It like the baby chocobo there is like really dark, and it's like and then some of the areas are like super shady. You're like, where's this creature? And then all of a sudden, it like runs up to you. It's like, oh, there you are. So I just thought that was kind of interesting. But yeah, the chocobo stops are cool because they were basically like the save points in the original game. Except the only annoying part, which is it makes sense because the original game did it with the tents, but they replaced the tents with the cushions. So which we forgot about a gameplay mechanic we'll talk about here in a second. But yeah, the cushions you needed to use to kind of restore your health. But I didn't mind that because you got the little chocobo gold feather, and then you can use that to trade in for some equipment. But yeah, so the chocobo stuff, I thought like at least what they were trying to do with it was fine, but it did become a bit of a chore towards the end. And I agree with you, Jason, especially with the Junon section. Trying to catch it was like, holy cow, like I just want to catch it and move on. Like it shouldn't be this difficult. But anyways, the thing that we forgot to talk about was the item transmog, or the transfusion, or whatever, or transmuter that they added. Real quickly, Carl, like what did you think about like the fact that you can kind of create items on the fly, and that includes equipment as well? Like, do you think that was like a cool thing to add, or have you seen that before? Like, what are your thoughts about that?
I thought that it felt more like added on and basic compared to some other games. I didn't really like it that much.
Did you like not, I guess, use it a whole lot, or you just like bought
Not
everything?
really.
Okay.
No, I didn't really have too much issues with like worrying about my research management, just because that's the type of RPG player I am.
You go out and buy out the store and then move on to the next town.
Basically, I hoard everything like a hoarder. You know, I'm one of those guys. I really try not to use stuff. Also, I'm also one of those people who, if I take too much damage in a battle, I will like autistically go back to like a bus stop and regain my health and my stamina and all that stuff just constantly. So that's also another reason why.
Okay. Yeah, personally, I only really used it to create those pillows and to also create some of the stronger equipments, and I think some of the mist potions. But I didn't use it a whole lot. I don't know about you, Jason. Like, did you fully utilize it, or like how was it
I
for
did the
you?
same thing you did, but I didn't make the mist potions. I usually just made like the items or anything like that. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm the same. I'm like same way as you, but I'm the same way as like Carl. Like I won't reset it, but like I usually never use um like items until like very end, because I'm like, these guys have magical powers. They should be able to heal me, and if I need anything, like if that person dies, then like, oh, this is why these persons has these items. That's what I do. But yeah, I usually stay away from items as much as I possibly can, unless we're talking about Final Fantasy VIII. But yeah.
Word.
The
Uh
Phoenix Downs are like the ones I hoard.
oh yeah, of course,
The
yeah.
most, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are what I usually hoard. But like what Jason's saying, it's like, yeah, I got Aerith. She's the healer. I don't really need to worry too much about that stuff.
What's kind of funny, and I don't know because I haven't started hard mode, but like that item is almost useless except for the equipment you can forge with it, because you can't use items in hard mode. So
Yep.
it is a bit odd that like that is like a decently sized feature in the game that is not going to be able to be used for a certain difficulty level. But um anyways, it was interesting. But yeah, enough about that. So Junon, now I really enjoyed that whole chapter. I know you mentioned already, Carl, that you enjoyed the parade and everything. But yeah, the whole like sequence of like starting out below, doing some stuff, meeting Yuffie, fighting the creature. The dolphin mini game was greatly improved from the original game, which I
Oh
actually
my
like.
god, yes.
I love the dolphin mini game. I think you probably did too, Jason. Like it was just
Mhm.
the music was great. The mechanics were fine as well. But yeah, that whole sequence, and then the stuff with oh, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, when you get to Junon, you go to the hotel. Is that the first time that you? No, that's the second time you can interact with your party members and you see their little like the relationship point indicator. I feel like that's the first time you see that, but I might be wrong on that. Either one of you can chime
If it's
in.
not the first, it's the second. Yeah,
I think
no,
the
I believe it
first
is the
is
first.
in. No, I think the first is
Is it?
in Calm.
Oh, calm. Oh yeah. Sorry,
might
you're
be
right.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was
Because like
a large gap.
you have
That's
to.
why.
Well, you have to do something with
Yeah,
Aerith.
chapter 2.
Yep.
Yeah, so like I'm pretty sure about this one.
Okay.
Oh yeah. You can talk. Yeah, you can talk to Tifa, Barrett, and Aerith. Yes, I remember that now.
And they give you a rundown explanation of the system very early in Calm.
Yeah.
Yep.
So like I believe it is the second time. Yeah.
Okay. Now, how did you guys feel? Well, actually, I guess this would be more for Jason, but how did you feel about the way they decided to go about with Yuffie and her introduction? Because it's very different from the original game. And then obviously the events leading into Junon itself. I'll get Carl's take about inside Junon, but like for lower Junon, Jason, and how like she's introduced, do you think, I guess, it worked? It was all right to do it that way, or did you want to have her as like a secret character that you need to go run around in a jungle to find?
If my thinking was that I honestly was thinking like, how are they gonna do the secret characters? Because they shouldn't be secret characters. They need to be a part of this because they are technically a part of the lore.
Yep.
So how can we do it? So anything that they were interested in doing, I was okay with. Even if it was a bad idea, I would have been okay with it, because us just trying to do these random things and trying to get to them, I thought would have been awful. So if they just be like, hey, we have this part right here, we could throw them in, it makes sense. Because materia being doing this and that, I'm like, cool. We don't have to do something silly to go find them. They're there, like I was okay with it.
The best
And then
way
we also knew about Yuffie too, from like I said, from the intermission
Yes.
intergrade. So we knew she's around. So having it this early in the game too was awesome, because they're like, if people were just played intergrade or they play them, we're like, oh, I really like that, spunky girl with that, that shuriken type of weapon. When is she gonna come in? I thought she was part of the game. Like, oh, here she is, kind of early. It kind of gives those people a character that they liked.
Yeah, I'm one of them.
for for those of you who are not aware, they don't treat her like a Pokemon. So
Yes.
where you need to go and run around in a jungle and then pray that like you get her on the 10% chance that she'll appear in the Junon region to then battle with her. Even though I do find that kind of funny that that's how it's basically programmed, but I liked her introduction.
It's so weird.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought like at least in Rebirth it was really well handled, and the whole like kind of goofy moment between her and Cloud as well. But and then like the fact that like from the get-go she's already like trying to recruit them to her like like her team, and they're just like not having it. So what did you think about all that, I guess, Carl, like her introduction, interacting with people? Because I'm sure you were a fan of her from basically intergrade, so like were you like really like anticipating like her what do you call that, like meet up with them?
Well, like I said, it was the way that you meet up with her is very action heavy, and then like you said, the whole aftermath of it is very comical. I did laugh about all that stuff where she's basically saying Cloud's like trying to be a pervert, and then she just runs away and does all this like weird stuff. Like it's very like archetype in this type of setting where you got to have like that one like very over the top expressive character who also comes across as a weirdo coward a lot of times. I think I said like the reason why I like Yuffie so much is she reminds me of my dog Atreus in so many ways, where she's like very loud and boastful, but then if like you scare her, she like quickly runs and hides behind people a lot, and I'm like, it's just like my dog, which is, I know it's weird to say that out loud, but
Oh no, she puts up a huge like I'm the toughest person front ever, but you're like if you step up to it, it's like I was just joking,
yeah,
but does it in a cutesy, comical way.
yeah, like I said, it's just like later on with her character, like, she's constantly hiding behind Cloud and stuff like that.
Yep.
All the time.
Like the very brave front, but like also the like heart of a coward. And I also think too, like it carries over because of Crisis Core as well, because you get like little girl Yuffie constantly messing with Zack, and Zack you can make her cry, and Zack goes like, I might have overdone it a little bit.
Yep. Oh, dude, that was fantastic.
That's what's really cool too. That's what's really cool too about Yuffie too. Like Yuffie doesn't know Cloud, but for some odd reason, she attaches herself like that to Cloud.
Yep.
Just as weird as that is, because how Cloud is pretending in a way. Like it was just like those personalities just are always kind of there for each other.
Oh, dude, remember that when we get to Golden Saucer, because oh my goodness, we have to talk about the dating stuff or the dating mini games there. But yeah, so moving on to like Junon and getting up into Junon, holy cow. So I accidentally saw a screenshot of Junon from like the distance. I think it was like a promo art or whatever, and I was like, whoa. And I quickly I closed my eyes or did something to get rid of the image because I didn't want to be spoiled like before I played the game. But man, when you like walk in and you start running around and then you get, you're doing the whole ceremony, like they like cooked so hard with that section. Like that was, I mean, they
knew they had to.
Oh yeah, because like you saw it in Crisis Core Reunion, right? Like it looked amazing in Crisis Core Reunion. Even back in the day with the PSP with the pre-rendered scenes, right? The CGI scenes, you're like, holy smokes, this city looks dope. But then you see it in like today's graphics and technology, and you're like, oh my goodness. And then the fact that they expanded on the activity you do within Junon with the whole marching and everything, and like recruiting for your marching your formation, and I mean, I gotta start with Carl here. Like, how was that all for you? Like doing, getting inside Junon, sneaking into the formation stuff, recruiting, and then finding some of this like hidden tidbits here and there within that area.
Right as you said that, I have to use the bathroom real quick, but I'll tell you when I get back. Go to Jason first.
Okay, go ahead, Jason.
Yeah, so with everything like that, I had I was just waiting how they were gonna do it, and when they decided, hey, we had this crazy mini game for a dance scene from the remake, what if we kind of use that? I was like, oh my god, that's so perfect to do that. And then just the idea of walking into this, because the area is big. They present really, really big. But if you kind of think about it, to me, I mean, I might be wrong on this one. It's kind of a smaller area, but it's just so massive on how they present it.
Yeah.
But the areas that you go to is just only a couple, and you're only just seeing a few things, and then you do that march, and then it's almost over. But how much time, care, love, and like how expansive everything felt like. It felt like a parade in a way. You're like, oh, a parade usually only goes down a couple streets, it's done. That's kind of exactly what they did. They make this huge gesture, grand, big thing in this really small area, and it's very short, but it is so important and it's so good.
To be fair, like my image of Junon, at least from the original game, it's not like it's a really like it's not like Midgard where it's like massive.
No,
But the
port,
whole
like, it's like a small port area.
yeah, it's a small port area, but it's like really tall because it's got the giant
Right.
gun, right? The sister ray there, and they were able to capture that like height, that depth, that feel of
Mhm.
height to that area, and I mean it was just holy cow. I mean that was probably one of my favorite areas in the game, just with the level of detail, the interactions, and like you said, you're kind of there for a little bit and then you move on, and then the later sequence where you're kind of like you're inside the fort and you're doing the whole like trying to get to the port, basically the harbor, which actually, you know what, I forgot about something. I didn't, at least I guess they kept the same aesthetic for Under Junon. It was kind of like a fisherman's town, but they kind of like expanded upon it in Rebirth, and I really liked that. I thought that was really cool how they like really made it feel like it was a fisherman's town, and also
Oh yeah,
they
yeah.
they really designed it so that like yeah, it's underneath the city, because like at least for me when I played the original game, I never felt like it was underneath Junon. It just felt like it was a darker area, like of the time of day. I don't know why. That was just like my
Mhm.
perception of it. But seeing it in this game, I was like, okay, yeah, we're actually underneath of it, kind of like Midgard, like on Sector 7, for example. Like you're underneath the plate. So,
Yep.
but yeah, going back to like the city itself, like yeah, like you said, it was really smart of them to use the dance like mini game from Remake, and they just repurposed it into this, and they made it a little bit more flashy, a little bit more there's customization to it as well, which it makes sense because I watched my wife play the original sequence, and it was the same thing. You had to push buttons in a certain sequence and do this and do that, so it's kind of similar to what the original mini game was, but they just made it like way better and way more interesting, and yeah, I know.
Flash
I
is
had
a
a
good thing
blast.
because I can see that I'm watching now thinking of like how put in front of you, put back, put on your shoulders, put in front, put in, like that's all it was in the original. Like it
Yeah.
was very whatever. And this was like, oh, okay, they're actually doing a march that they would normally do. And then also when I thought it was really clever and awesome to see, Aerith and Tifa in the same,
Oh yes, yes, and their outfits.
so
Yep.
good too. Yeah.
Yeah, because like in the original game, it's really just Cloud that you see in the world as you're running around, and so yeah,
Mhm.
I was curious about like how are they gonna handle that, and then sure enough, the three of you are marching together.
Yep.
And I'm trying not to talk too much because I need Carl to come back so he can talk about it. But
He's back.
oh, he's back.
Yes, I've been back.
Oh my bad. I don't. I'm only using one screen right now because I gotta render this lovely live stream here. But
You're good.
go ahead,
That's
Carl.
fine.
Gush to us about Junon, up until the marching section. Go ahead and let us know what you thought about it.
Did you guys talk about the frog minigame?
No, but you can if you want to, because I really
I
didn't
actually
care for
enjoyed
that.
that. I enjoyed that, especially like this was like the one part where like the Tifa voice actress really felt like she was having fun when she was like doing all the like ribbit and all that stuff, like going in with Cloud, and Cloud's
Yes.
just like disgusted.
Yes. Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was interesting and funny, especially how they had like little frog versions of Cloud and Tifa and everyone.
Yep.
I was like, this is a little adorable thing. You know, the mini game wasn't that hard. It was funny to see like your little cloud frog just like fly for miles when you messed up.
Kind of like you know what's funny? That mini game reminded me of something from Halo, like Forge maps in Halo. like a wipeout,
I
like
can
a
see that.
Halo wipeout Forge map. That's I don't know why, because like the arena that you're in is like in the middle of the water, nowhere, and you're just jumping. So,
Yeah,
uh,
I thought it was weird that they put it in there, and I don't know why they did. I guess it's because they have the one enemy that turns you into a frog,
yes,
and and I think they
Yeah.
just wanted. I think they were just like having fun with that one. Like I said, it's like they added up. They love their mini games in this game, you know.
yep.
But this was one of them that I actually thought was interesting and kind of fun to just play with. I also thought the character interactions were really funny. just just how disgusted Cloud is, and like Tifa's going like ribbit. He's like, she's like, come on, let's go be frogs. I don't want to be a frog.
Yeah, doesn't she push him into the mist or whatever? The frog changing
Yeah.
mist? Yeah.
Yeah. And I think at the end of the thing too, he pushes her back into it. He's like disgusted. I can't remember exactly, but I thought that was funny.
Yeah. Oh, there's
Again, it shows the two. You're like, how can these two be friends? And then you get something silly like that. You're like, okay, maybe they were childhood friends. Because sometimes you think to yourself, like, how they weren't friends. Like, there's no way these guys were friends back then. But when you see a cutesy moment like that, you're like, oh, I believe it.
yeah,
Yeah.
the game does a great job at really selling you interactions to with the different characters and really giving them like a life. Like it feels like they're all real character, like
Yes.
real life people, the way they interact with each other. Now I don't know if that has something to do with they recorded in the same studio, or if just the dialogue and the way it was recorded and these actors are just that good that they can pretend that somebody's next to them while they're acting, because it felt like they were all together in the same room recording. Like it was amazing to see that interaction. But anyways, with the rest of Junon there, Carl, like let me know about it, or let us know, I should say.
I think you guys covered everything with Junon pretty easily and well, to be honest with you.
Well, the one thing I did want to bring up is the whole sequence with the parade when it comes to like they're trying to win the to be able to see the Rufus, right? And then they do the whole
Yeah.
sequence and of course I love how Roche makes a return. Cloud's my friend.
So happy he
My
did.
friend, yes. And like his like guy, they win the contest and he does the crazy like motorcycle trick up onto the platform. Like that was in true Japanese fashion, that was just hilarious. Like some like a Yakuza sequence basically just doing that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
He felt very
100%.
Majima a little bit of feel there.
Yes, yeah. But then we get to the point where okay, now the story's slightly different because you got Yuffie.
Hold on a second here. Hold on a second here.
Go ahead.
You didn't even talk about the best part in the parade
Oh,
sequence.
actually, I did miss something else, but go ahead. I think I completely missed another detail, but yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
You didn't miss the best part when you find the bald bar.
Yes, the bald bar.
That's my favorite part when you walk in there. It's just everyone's bald, and they just give you like the most dirty, insane look. And you, who's Turk that's in there as well?
Rude.
Rude, yeah, and Rude's in there just having fun. It is so like wild. It's just like it doesn't make any sense why it's there. Was that in the original?
Yeah, it was. Jason can elaborate a little bit more if he's here to elaborate, but yeah, it was an original.
Yeah. Yeah, I honestly I forgot about that part in the original.
Same.
I loved it. Like
But yeah.
Sorry, finish your point, Jason.
No, I was gonna say like no, like I forgot about that part. Like when I said like when I was playing remake, I was like I knew something was up, but I forgot. And now that you mentioned it, I was like, oh shoot, that's right. Like it's one of those things like you have in the back of your mind. You're like, there's a thing here, but now that you're mentioning it, it's like I forgot about that.
I just
And that's
loved
why
how
like Rude always feels weird too about everything with hair.
I just think it was like so out of like left pocket for me because
Oh,
like I said I'm a Yakuza guy, so it's like one of those like weird sub stories that kind of feels like when you walk into like this bar and it's just like a whole bunch of bald dudes and women just like drinking at this bar, and Cloud's like, what is going on here? It's like the only other like thing I could relate that to, like there's a Yakuza storyline where like Kiryu walks in to like this one center like this one building because he meets this dude on the street who says like I'm going to show you a good time, and he walks into this like room and it's like dudes dressed as babies, and it's like they have like a baby fetish. And it's like that's the only other time something like that caught me just as much off guard. It was like that and like walking into this bald bar, and the character's like, "What's going on here?"
Yeah, there was also the sequence, a little like not sequence, but little like tidbit with Elena like drinking at the bar. That was in the original as well. If you like go into the far corner of that little like I don't know what the area was called, but like the street area, and like seeing when you're going around collecting your troops and like just seeing the different interactions and people talking and stuff like, the one spot with Red 13 where like he's like says he's doing reconnaissance, and it's just him like getting like pet by all the kids that are in the neighborhood because he likes having that attention. So that was pretty funny. I did appreciate that. Now one little detail that I forgot about in that area was, did you guys see the sister ray, the big cannon like model like gunpla kit that was there? I know that was one of the trooper, I think was one of the squads was messing around with it, but I don't know if you guys remember that.
Like, what are you talking about? Like, just the...
So, like...
Because yeah.
On the ground level, if you go inside one of the shops, you'll see like a table with a stack of like model kits, and it's the model kit of the sister ray, and they're like talking about it like, like typical Japanese nerds, like, oh, I got this like model kit of the giant cannon. I don't know if you guys saw that. I thought it was pretty funny.
I feel like it's clicking with me a little bit because there's like when you're going around gathering those troops, like they have like some weird interactions.
So much.
So I think
it's one of those interactions.
But you know what? Ironically enough, I didn't get like Japanese like vibe to it. I actually got like weird military vibes.
Because, yeah.
Here's why. I may not have served, but I had a buddy. My buddy, his mom dated a Navy guy when we were like little like teenagers. So sometimes he would take us onto like the base to go to their shops, and it reminded me a lot of that in an aspect of like all these like military dudes, like 18, 19, 20-year-olds who have money and time just waiting, and they're like at these like they're like in their military fatigues while they're also talking to each other, and they're like doing like just normal nerd stuff. And I don't know, did that kind of also resonate with you a little bit, AC? Because you're the military guy.
Oh yeah. Actually, thinking about it, that's probably why I remembered it, because I remember graduating from basic training, and we had like a free day to go do something with our family that came, and I remember dragging my parents and my siblings to go to the GameStop. I think it was either on the base or outside of the base, and purchasing with like my money that I got, like my allowance that I got from the military, purchasing the Smash Brothers 3DS that like released, because that was like the time frame. And so I was like just super excited to get that. It wasn't like obviously like military related, but I remember like being able to do that like after the whole 8 weeks of like basic training. So it did, now that I think about it, that does click a little bit better for me. So that's probably why I remembered it so fondly.
Like I said, like when you brought it up, it just reminded me of like that one specific memory I have being on over here. It's like the Great Lakes military base is over here in Illinois, and like just being like they have like an on-site shop.
Yep.
That I just remember going to, and I just remember all these guys in like their Navy like fatigues, like their little sailor suits and stuff, just like walking around like because they're young, all right? Obviously a lot of them are like 18, 19, 20-year-olds, and they basically were doing that, just like talking about video games. So that's why like when you brought it up with like the whole like, oh well, do you remember the model kit? I'm like, I do a little bit, but I didn't get the Japanese vibe. I got like the nerdy like people who like are in the military because they're like, it's paid for my college, that's why I'm here.
So I guess to close that out, I guess what I meant by Japanese is just that like I see model kits like everywhere out here, so that's why like I thought about that immediately. But yeah, that is more accurate to like shore leave. I guess that would be the better example. So
well, that like I said, it is very Japanese. Don't get me wrong. because it like obviously it's a Japanese game, and yeah, model shops like the Gunpla and all that stuff,
Yes.
like huge. But like at the same time, it got like that little extra boost because it's also like these are Shinra military agents. You know what I mean?
Yep.
They're dressed in their whole gear. They're marching around. They're marching around in formations. They're doing all that stuff. Even when you recruit them, they like do their little weird Shinra runaway where they like bunch up and like jog away and stuff. Like I said, it adds a little bit more of that like background lore, just like of like the whole military theater as well to it.
Yes. Real quickly, one of our lady of the night has showed up. Nosferatu the vampire, what's up, dude? Thanks for finally getting here. We're talking about basically chapter by chapter. We're now up to Junon with the march and everything, and I'm getting into the sequence with President Rufus, and what happens after that. Like, so obviously we mentioned that they kind of did the whole Yuffie introduction sequence different, and so that's where, at least in this part of the story of the chapter, it really gets very different, because I don't remember in the original game, actually it didn't really happen, where the party members go and talk to Rufus and they kind of try to bargain with him the ability to operate without any like worry about Shinra. And then in this game they give that, they present that situation, and then it gets ruined by Yuffie trying to take him out because she's still an agent for Wutai. What did you think about that, Jason? Like that kind of like twist to the story there.
No, this is what like I was talking about. Like we say that the Turks are all like bad guys, but like even the Turks know like they're not doing it for what they do is not for good or for bad. Like they are bought out. So if somebody has a better deal or if somebody has a certain way, it's like, hey, don't take this personal, guys. Like we're not doing this because we want to. We hate you guys. It's just like there's a pretty good reward for you guys, and if you guys don't come with us, we'll have to come and get you guys. And then for them, just like, hey, we're trying to do this because of this is the people that are buying you guys out are doing this, and this, and they're like, yeah, that makes sense. I can understand why you're fighting them, but you're still worth a lot of money.
Yeah, I really liked Rufus in this game a lot. Just all of like his character, his mannerisms, how he talks to people, or his interactions, I should say. And then we get an interesting character, right? So, obviously, I knew nothing about it, and that is Glenn, who appears in this Junon chapter. Now, this you'll have to take the reins on this, Jason. This is a character from obviously Rufus's past, but more specifically, it has stuff to do with the Ever Crisis story that's going on right now. What are your thoughts about that and how they're incorporating it into the I guess this grander story, the main story?
So for huge people that are Final Fantasy VII fans, I'm one of them. I don't play Ever Crisis because it's a mobile game, but this is also their nod to people that are super in depth to that and want to get a little bit more out of stories that are, to me, like even make the game or the franchise even more crazier than it actually is. This is a nod to them. The whole Glenn thing is another, like, that could be another stream by itself because of what it was and what it represented and what it is now and all that. I'm not the biggest person that I could talk about that. I know just the face things that we see in Rebirth and some of the things that I read, but like, yeah, Glenn is just like another, kind of like before. I believe Glenn was before, like kind of like Zach. Again, please correct me if I'm wrong. And then, yeah, and then he's also the Mako poisoning, and then there's just other stuff that way that Sephiroth at the time knew. There's stuff to that too. I'm not the best person to ask though.
Okay, real quickly then, Carl, did you was any of the Glenn stuff like confusing? Was it not needed? Like, as somebody that's not really like super into the weeds with this, like, what were your like face value thoughts about that?
I'm kind of blanking about the Glenn stuff here.
So Glenn, he's wearing a hood. He looks like one of the robe guys, and he's got He's got like a scruffy beard, blonde hair, blue eyes. He's
You're-
always
are you? Is he? He's the.
He's the one that keeps talking to the president, giving the president like the information to do what he's been doing.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. He's the the other people, not the Shinra. Who are the other people? I'm blanking.
Wutai?
Sorry, you said Wutai. He's the Wutai guy, right?
Yes.
Yeah, he's trying to start more of a war because he's more on them, but he's really not because he's not Wutai, but he was Wutai if he was really Glenn.
Yeah, more
Yeah,
on that
yeah, there's a
later.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that
yeah. We'll
I,
get there
I
later.
wasn't confused by that stuff. It took a second here because I'm like Glenn,
Yeah, yeah.
Glenn, because
I got you.
he's kind of like he's like the background guy. So it's not like he obviously is in the
He's-
first game too.
Yeah, he's an important
So-
background guy because he's trying to start the war.
He's kind of like
Yeah.
a
We know.
B plot character, right?
He's
that?
like the
A
he's the
B-plot
expedition.
character.
Yeah,
Like he's the expedition guy, exposition guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
yeah.
Like
yeah,
he's there to like show up, give you what you need about the story, tell you that he's mysterious and kind of a bad bad guy, and then you kind of move on to like, okay, let's get back to the main plot here first.
yeah. Mhm.
Like I didn't find him confusing. I just kind of rolled with it, where it's like, oh, this is the break in the action where we learn more about the.
Yeah, because the original game goes back and forth between the main party. It focuses more on the main party, but it also does some sequences where you see the Shinra stuff that's happening, like the meetings with Rufus and the Turks and Scarlet and all that. But in this game, they're doing a little bit more because they're adding Glenn and not Glenn and all this other sequence. So I thought it was fine. It didn't break the flow or anything. It just added more to the mystery, and it was interesting to see how they took care of it towards the end of the game. But
Right.
I just wanted to know from somebody that has like no understanding of it, like, was it well received, or like was it not? It didn't like hinder your story experience, I guess. So that's good to know. then.
Yeah, I mean, you had to figure out why the Wutai and why there was a war in the past that was trying to build up again. You were trying to figure out why to begin with, even in the original, instead of, oh, this person is this person, whatever. Now you kind of have like an idea is like, oh no, this person kind of infiltrated here and did this, so it kind of gives you a little bit more of a reasoning that kind of makes sense. And then also by doing a little twist that you're like, oh, it makes even a little bit more sense of why that person did that too. So it just adds a little bit more to what you kind of already known, and just kind of filters it out just a little bit.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Oh.
Finish your point.
I wasn't gonna hang around with this too much longer, but if you got more you wanted to add, then go ahead.
It's
Nah,
super important, but
got
yeah.
nothing.
Oh.
I got nothing. I'm just prattling on like an idiot.
Okay. Well, so moving on, we get to the part where they do the confrontation. Yuffie tries to, do something and it fails. And then we're in a sequence where it's just Cloud. But what's interesting is Cloud is now with his battalion members, his troop members. And that was a pretty funny, like, interesting sequence because they're like party members, but they're just like normal Sinra soldiers. And you're going through and you need to like, do all these battles and get to the port. And I thought what was really interesting is Cloud's character during that whole sequence with the marching and everything. Like, you could kind of see that he was kind of like enjoying it a lot, that he got to be a leader of a marching group or a squad, and he got to go into battle with this squad because beforehand he was just a run-of-the-mill trooper, and then the whole sequence happens, and he does the whole stolen valor thing where he takes Zack's personality or character, but then he gets to actually be a leader in this one sequence, and you're using him in the battles. I thought that was kind of cool.
He gets to be himself for the first time in a while.
Oh, that's
because
very well put. Yeah.
He wanted to do this. He never was able to technically, and he was never himself. So him now, like, oh, I'm the leader of these guys, and this is what I trained myself to do. I get to do this for the first time ever. And
Yeah,
that's
I wouldn't
why
say
I
it's
think he's
stolen
good.
valor either because he was a soldier originally.
Yeah.
Well, no, well, hold on a second. I mean, stolen valor as in Cloud was always a trooper, and then he became.
Yeah, he was not a first class soldier.
He never became a soldier. He took that mantra from Zack at the end of Crisis Core, right? So that's the stolen valor part that I'm talking about.
Okay, I get what you're trying to say here.
Yeah. This is the first time he became himself and as a first class soldier.
Yes, yeah. Nos here bringing up the part like we talked about earlier, how the soldiers will follow you around in the battalion formation, and also they're like yelling at you. They're like, yes sir, we're following you sir, or whatever. Like that whole sequence just really cracked. I mean, it cracked all of us up, just how over the top it was.
I love trying to keep them all alive too. I'm like, we're doing this, boys.
Yes,
Right?
I did the same thing too. Like we gotta get through this together, because like you kind of build a small bond with them. You didn't want to see, even though they were quote unquote the bad guys, you didn't want them to suffer for no reason. So
No, because
Exactly.
they weren't doing that. They weren't bad people. Like it just shows you, like, it doesn't matter like what side you're on. Like there are good people, but there's just bad discussions on each side. So like
Yep.
you don't want a person to die because they're on a certain way. It's like not their fault that they have to support a bad decision. So if you actually build the bonds with this person, they're telling you like, hey, I don't believe in this, but like I believe in my area and I believe in this and this. That's why I fight. It's like, man, that's I understand. I don't want you to die, but like it brings the gray area hugely in play.
So later on you get to the part where you're fighting Roche in that little arena, and that was like really funny, and like just like the whole spectacle around that was just like hilarious. And I enjoyed it. It was a fun like battle to do. And then you get through that, you get outside, and you get to the interesting sequence where you get down to the elevator and you're at the port, and you have a little exchange with your guys, and Cloud's like trying to shake him, and they're just kind of like not wanting to leave him because they're kind of just they're loyal to their troop leader, and that was just really interesting to see them interact, and how like Cloud was just like, I need you guys to go because I got to go do something important, and they're like, we know you're not the imposter, which is like it just cracked me up, that whole part about it. I know I love the interaction. I just thought it was like, to me, being a former military person, just that whole like over the top like mannerisms in the military just really made me laugh. So and it, like Nos says there, was really touching. It was genuinely touching to see that interaction. Sorry, I gotta be careful with my terminology. One Shinra employee to the next, security employee to the next. So but yeah, then so after that we get to the cruise ship, and I'll be honest, that chapter is not my favorite chapter in the game, and it's really for one reason, and I'm sure Jason already knows what it is. But like the cruise ship wasn't a large sequence in the original game, and they obviously had to kind of make it a little bit longer. Some would say padding, others might just say it's content, whatever. But Jason, like, how did you think they handled the cruise ship chapter for this game?
Coming from the original, I think, yeah, unfortunately they needed like a break in the game, and this is how I feel like they chose it. Do all games need breaks for tempo and for timing in games? I don't think so. But for them just going across and getting to the next part of the world that we really haven't seen, I think it made a understanding, especially because I know the boss, we finally get, one of my favorite bosses in all video games. But yeah, I understand. Yeah, it's hard to talk about. I'm talking around it, and I completely understand. Like it's probably frustrating, but yeah, it should have been shorter. Yes, the ending of it made it worth it.
Yeah, I agree with that. Carl, before you unleash your wrath on Queen's Blood, what did you think about?
I had fun with it. That's why I'm like, I had fun with it because this is where I really learned how to play it.
Yes.
And I got really good at it. So that's something like I didn't have an issue as much. But like if you just did like, hey, this is how you play it. Here's a couple, and if you want to, these people that are on this ship are gonna, get off of it too, and you can play it later. sure. But if you're just gonna just like force them to do this because you have to be on the ship to go across, because hey, in the game you have to go across, like, yeah.
Yeah, that's for me. That's where I didn't like being forced to play a card game in a video game. I understand they
Yeah.
needed to kill time, but it just it didn't sit well with me. I did like
Mhm.
the fact that they brought some characters onto the ship that you saw from remakes. So you saw Madam M, and you saw
Mhm.
Nas's favorite character, the Honeybee Inn guy. He came on, and then you saw obviously Chadley somehow is on the ship with you, and then you saw
Yeah,
some
Chadley's
other.
everywhere though.
Yeah. You saw that AI robot or whatever, that like steampunk robot is like on there's like new character that's on there too. So it was cool seeing all the different characters in the context of Queen's Blood and all that. Like I guess it makes sense, but if I get like Carl jump in, like go ahead, man. Like what are your thoughts about this chapter with the whole ship?
For me, it was like when they whispered into Bush's ear that they hit the second tower, where they're like,
Wow.
"You got to play another game of Queen's Blood." That's me, and I just was like, "Oh God, no,
Yes,
no,
yeah,
no,
yeah.
no!" I hated it so much. I hated it so much. Uh, Let me rephrase this here. I did appreciate the characters that were brought on board, like you guys were saying. But when they were like, "You got to play Queen's Blood," and I didn't want to do it. I was just kicking and screaming that I had to do like just win one rounds of Queen's Blood, and then I could quit. That's really that was this only saving grace. And then they come out of nowhere here with Red, who just comes in like Michael Jackson walking in,
Yes.
and then he's like, "Let's go, boy." You and me, Cloud. And I'm like, please, God, no. I don't want to do this. It's like, it's like, it's like going to work at that point for me. It's like I don't want to do it, but I'm here, so I got to do it. I'm just not a fan of Queen's Blood. Like overall, like I like the cruise ship. I did like the ending of the level, obviously. When I didn't have to bother with Queen's Blood at all, and like I said, that was another funny moment with like Yuffie popping up as one of the reunion boys.
Yes.
She's just snuck on the ship with them, and then she's like, "No, no, no, don't kill me, don't kill me." So like that part was funny, but like I said, I enjoyed the atmosphere, but I hated it. You know what it was? It was like a family vacation for me. You know, it's it's like I'm enjoying my vacation, but I'm here with my family.
Yes, that is that's very accurate. Um I liked I'm more with Carl on this as far as like I do like the aesthetics of everything and just how the story played out after the Queen's Blood. I didn't quit. I actually went through and did all the rounds just cuz I wanted to like get the full
Yeah.
grasp of the
Same.
game. Like I wanted to try to enjoy the game, but I was burnt out. Especially now when I beat the one chick, the top player, I was like, okay, I'm done. And then the Red 13 like fake out that comes out of nowhere. At first I was irritated, but then I laughed because of how ridiculous it was and how like his whole attitude and everything. Like I was like, okay, I'm fine. Like it was funny. I'll play against him and beat him, and it was okay. But it was kind of a nice nod to the original game because in the original game they sneak aboard a ship and
Mhm.
13 does wear the Shinra Trooper outfit, and it's kind of funny because like the way he animates in the original game is like really goofy like, and they were able to kind of
Oh,
like
so yeah.
capture that in Rebirth as well, and I did appreciate that. I thought that was like really really well done. Now Jason, talk about, man, that sequence with Hojo and the ship captain, and how like Hojo's like all interested, like, huh, so the creatures are like absorbing like the reunion bros, like that was like
Dude,
really.
Hojo's fucked up, dude.
Oh yeah,
Like
yeah.
he's like, even from the original and even from that, like I, I'm one of the people that think Hojo's technically like the main final boss of this whole franchise of Final Fantasy and just in general. And I would like if they changed it where he's even crazier. or he end up being the final boss because he's the manipulator of everything, I would be kind of okay with that, just because like he's he's the puppeteer of everything. And when he says stuff like that, you're like, if you know the older game, you're like, is he being serious? Like, does he want to just make this thing do all this? Is he really thinking every human being is a science experiment, just waiting to be for him just to mess with? And you kind of believe him that he would do that.
Oh yeah. I mean, we'll get to it later. Some of the sequences later are pretty telling of who he is and his intentions.
Ugh,
Um,
yeah.
Man, cause like when I think of Hojo, I just think about which I hope they do a justice in part 3, the battle you do against him, and I won't really say
I think
anything
they're
else
gonna do it
about it.
crazier.
Oh yeah, I fully, I expect them to go full tilt with it, cause um,
Yeah.
the way they set him up now, it's like okay, he's gonna have to be over the top in the next part, but um, yeah, that so
Yeah, because like in the original games, all we got to know like he was crazy is like he would walk to the camera and he would do his little laugh and he would do his little shake. And you're like, okay, he's crazy. Now they're making him like actually sound like he's crazy, and you can see parts of him being crazy.
yeah, and because he's in more of the cutscenes. Um,
Mhm.
and I mean, I didn't expect that sequence with him and the ship captain. That was like out of nowhere. I was like, oh, okay, I guess we're going here, and we're definitely going to show more of the dark side of Hojo. So I was really cool with that, and obviously the Genova sequence there at the end.
Genova's
Um,
so good.
oh yeah, dude, like
I
man.
think I'm a huge fan of Genova because it reminds me of like the Thing. And if the Thing and Genova were like the same monster, I would believe it.
Yeah, man, that the modeling in this game is insane. Like the level of
Yeah.
detail, the
Yes.
creepiness
Yes, it
of
is.
it. Holy cow! I mean, go ahead and gush about it there, Jason, since you really liked the ending with the
Yeah.
Genova fight. I should say you like the Genova
Yeah,
fight.
yeah. So no, my favorite thing too about Genova is like, because you're like, Genova's theme is my favorite theme in all Final Fantasy. People are like, oh, One Winged Angel is great. I'm like, no, Genova's themes to me is what screams Final Fantasy to me. Like that theme when I originally played the game, and that theme in remake was when they brought that in. I just like, I think I literally had to pause the game and like walk away because like emotions hit and I was just so happy. So anytime they bring a Genova fighting, because there's a bunch of Genovas, like oh, what is this one gonna like? Because they're different,
Yep.
but they're the same. But how are they gonna like label it? Because each label has a reasoning of why it's called this. It's just crazy. And then when you see again, like you're talking about, like with the all the Lost Souls, and this one has like all these hands, and it's just like you almost feel bad for these Lost Souls that don't have anything because they just got absorbed into this monster and they feel like they're still alive, but they're completely dead. And you're trying to just put it out of its misery. That's where like the Thing kind of comes into my mind. It's just, yeah, it's bonkers.
Now, Nas, correct. Regarding what you just said there, correct me if I'm wrong. You or even you guys here on the panel, is this the first? Besides the opening scene, is this the first time we see Sephiroth? Oh no, we saw Sephiroth with the Midgar Somer, the
Yeah.
snake boss. That's right. But
Yeah,
that, yeah,
he's been simmering for a while.
yeah, but this sequence is more important because he actually speaks to the player in this situation, and Nas wants me to bring it up about what he talks about there. So we haven't really been touching a lot about the lore or like the little tidbits that are sprinkled around here, but the thing that Sephiroth says in this sequence that's really important is that he talks about Genova, right? And he says how Genova will take on forms of people that you know, and whether that you love or you hate or whatever. And so
Yep.
that's like a very like kind of like like a teaser of what's to come, and
Yep.
very very important piece of information there. What did you think about the boss fight, Carl, in general, just like the boss fight and the mechanics or whatever?
Uh, I didn't really have an issue fighting this boss fight. To me, it was more memorable just from like the shock aspect of it. Like Jason was saying, that like it, it reminded him of The Thing. It reminds me of The Thing meets the remake of The Fly with Jeff Goldblum, like at the end
Oh,
when he
that's a good
becomes
call.
like the actual
Yeah,
Fly.
good call.
I gotta
So,
watch
like-
that movie.
Yeah, that is like one of the
He becomes very
really good
bubbly.
remakes. Yeah. So like it's like stuff like that where it's like melty, falling apart, like all this like weirdness absorbing people. I would say it was very thematical, but at the same time, it also just reminded me of the remake fight as well in a lot of ways.
Mm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So like it
Yeah.
didn't really like wow me. I was like, if it was felt like, oh, we're just redoing this one again. That's kind of what it felt like.
And that's the tough thing about Genova fights because they almost always feel that way. So they have to find ways to obviously change what version Genova you're fighting or whatever kind of like that one was Genova Emergent, if I believe.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
yeah.
I don't know how I remember that one. But like they all have a theme. So and it's Genova, so they're gonna fight the same. So if you're fighting the same boss over and over and over again, yes, it's gonna get tiring after a while. But how can we spin it a little bit, or how can we make it look different? So when people say like I hate Genova fights, I'm like, I understand. You're fighting the same boss. It's the same thing, same person, same entity, same whatever you want to call Genova. How can they just change it?
I want to clarify here too. Just remember, I did play all these games in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it was a
Yeah.
lot more fresh to me remake to Rebirth than I think some people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like the
yeah.
Genova fight in remake felt almost very similar and close to Rebirth.
Well, that's funny because if you play the original game, it feels the same way. So like
Yep.
it works actually kind of. It's not a negative for you
It
there.
works
Carl.
perfectly.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
it's supposed to almost feel that way because you're like, wait, this is the same thing. It's not a different boss. Like if they were different names and they were the same fight, I'd completely understand. But no, it's like if you fought, 5 different versions of Sephiroth. Like you're fighting Sephiroth, like they might change a little bit, but it's the same idea.
I would say
Except for
counterpoint here.
The very end.
I just want to counterpoint a little bit here. Sephiroth fights were like feel awesome, versus like the Genova fights, like they felt basically the same, just like kind of redone around a little bit.
Yeah.
I get you.
I see where he's getting.
I'm not saying it's terrible. Don't
No,
get
no,
me
no.
wrong, but I'm just saying like it was cool. I like the design. It's kind of like McDonald's a little bit, you know. I don't go to McDonald's to expect a great meal. It's just to get the job done, and I enjoy it still. You know what I mean? That's what the Genova fights like. It's just like, yeah, this is great and awesome and cool. I like it. I just liked it in remake more because it felt special. But like
I felt
now
really
it's just
special.
yeah. But now it just feels like, oh, this was like a nice little add-on as like a plot point. You know what I mean? It was like
Yeah.
it's good
Yeah.
to kind of convey it. It does get it. It conveys the point very well. And like I said, I love the art style.
Yeah, I've always called Genova to like the back, like if you need something to, like if you need a chapter or a big plot point to end, just throw in Genova because it's important and you can make it cool, and again you can change the name around to do it.
Yeah.
It's gonna be around the same fight, but it's like, oh shit, this is very important. What is this to have to do with it? So I completely understand. Like you were on this boring ship and they just threw in Genova. It's like okay, that's weird. Like I was playing a card game, but now I'm facing one of the strongest bosses in Final Fantasy. It's like it just seems weird.
Yeah,
But-
this was like an end game boss level threat, and now it's just like randomly on like this
Yep.
A ship.
random cruise ship, you know?
Yep.
All right. Well, moving on to one of the funnest chapters in this game. Which
One second, hold on a second here.
Oh.
We didn't address the best part about the ship level.
Hold on.
I'm missing. Am I missing something?
Yeah. What? Is it after?
Sailor Barrett. That's what we forgot to talk about. Sailor
Sailor
Barrett.
Barrett, yes.
That's right. Yeah. You're right. Well, I mean, he was in Judon wearing that, but yeah, Sailor Bear, and I think he fell in love with the uniform too. He's like, I actually kind of like this.
Exactly.
Yep.
That's right. Yeah. Okay. Well, Sailor Barrett and crew arrived to Costa del Sol, and man, I mean,
Yeah.
beach
episode, baby. We're here.
Let's
We
just
hit
call
the mid-season point of the anime series. Beach episode. Let's go.
yeah. Yes, and of course, fan favorite character Johnny makes a return, and I thought it was fantastic how Johnny was implemented in this like chapter of the game, and yeah, dude, Costa del Sol was fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what, Carl, take it away. Like, you're as soon as you know, fresh off the boat, you meet the mayor, you meet the hot women, and then Johnny rolls up. Like, go ahead and take it away. Like.
What's going on, brother man? Johnny comes up here. He's like, I got a place for you guys to stay since it's all sold out. And you just find out he's just got this rundown, rinky-dink, off the beach motel that you just go there. It's like, I guess this works. But on top of that too, it's just like, this is where like the whole mini games and like actual plot building like comes in, like the team bonding really comes in, because you got to win those tickets. And you gotta like dress up your characters in like beach gear and stuff like that too.
Yeah, and
Yep, you have to find. Yep, you have to find beach gear. Yep.
oh yeah, take it away, Jason, or Carl.
Oh no,
if you
no,
have
yeah,
more.
yeah. You have to. Yeah, you try to continue with the plot. You try to get on the beach to pretty much talk to Hojo like you do in the other one, but they're like, oh no, you can't wear regular clothing on the beach. You know, you gotta go find beach clothing. And they're like, well, okay, I go buy it. You can't buy it. It's all worth, you know, these certain tickets, and then you do these mini games to achieve whatever one you want to do. Certain, you know, looks or more, but yeah, then you just dress your, you know, your party up, and then to get on the beach to continue the story. But yeah,
What was your guys' favorite mini game? So you had the shoot 'em up gallery. You had the Queen's, like not the Queen's Blood, but like a different version of Queen's Blood, the co-op one. Then you
That was my
had
favorite.
The doggy
you had
park.
the dog park with Red doing the soccer balls and stuff, and it's just like these
it's so
weird
frustrating.
generic animal dogs like going against Red. I like that one because it was like the easiest one for me to do.
Oh, that
It
one's my
was
favorite.
until they started like, because you had to realize if they can come after you, and then it didn't matter like how many points were certain ways, like because if they scored on you, or if two people went against you and then their multiple balls fell, you're like, I can't get back there to save that.
Yeah.
Then you just have to give up goals, and you have to like, okay, I have to just score goals and not care how many goals scored on me, because it's 3-on-1. So as soon as you figure that out, it gets a little bit easier. But man, when I'm trying to make sure I'm like, it's like 1 to whatever, and I'm just trying to score, and like everybody is just coming after me, I'm like, this is frustrating.
So this is where I differ from that, because that game clicked with me, and I'm not even a Rocket League fan. Like, I tried Rocket
Okay.
League and I just couldn't get into it, but this game really clicked with me. I mean, I know what you're talking about, like
That's a good. Yeah, I played it like Rocket League. I was trying to play
Yeah.
like Rocket League, and I couldn't, and that's not the way to play it.
Yeah, right. And the first time I played it, yeah, I was getting overwhelmed. But then I was like, oh, okay, if you're just really aggressive and you're fast and you can, you know, you can do it. And I love the music in that sequence as well. But yeah, that would be my favorite game. Carl, was the doggy park one.
I liked going around in a Segway, breaking all the stuff, and keep coming back around, and it just keeps respawning.
Yes.
Yeah, that was the Sega was my least favorite, as we talked about this earlier. The Sega one was definitely that I wanted to just like, if I were to stop wanting to play the game, anytime I had to do that Segway stuff, I was like, I'm done. Like,
I don't know what it
it's time for me
was,
to take a
man.
break.
Yeah, like 2024 was like the year of the Segway in Japanese games. I don't know why.
I liked the little story with the segue with the one girl that was interested in Johnny, and then she was kind of getting like a bit jealous with like Tifa's like character and
Mhm.
whatnot. I liked the little bit of like storytelling going on with that, and how like they basically told her like, no, like Johnny, you know, yeah, like Tifa's not interested in Johnny. Like that was just like kind of
Right.
the whole funny thing about that. And so
I forgot about that until just now.
yeah, like those little like relationships that you kind of like deal with in there. And but yeah, so anyways, you do the mini games, right? And then you get your tickets, and then you go put the outfits on. You get to customize the girls how you want them to look like. And I mean, if that wasn't fan service, I don't know what was, because that was just
Right.
I mean, we actually, but I do remember this before the game came out. That sequence was like shown online, right? I don't think it was a leak. I
Right.
think that was like kind of purposely shared online. The whole like beach fan service part, and
Yeah.
you know, Nos said it in the chat earlier. You know how like people complained that like Tifa's assets were nerfed, and it's like, well, I don't know about that, because like the way that
Yeah.
the way they showed it in that sequence was like, oh my goodness, like they
I-
weren't holding back.
I think we had like a funny conversation with both our wives where we brought that up to them. Like, what are they talking about?
Yeah, exactly. Like she. No, okay. Before we continue that, I forgot about the piano mini game. Nos brings it up. What did you guys think about the piano mini game in general, across the game, I should say, because you play it in different
I
towns.
wish I was better at it.
I
Yeah,
hated it.
it is hard.
I really wanted to get good with it. I really, really wanted to get good with it because it was so like I love the music. The best way I can describe it is because I was trying to do it when I haven't finished Last of Us Part 2, but when they did the guitar stuff there, I thought it was their way to do something like that, but with
Oh
better
God,
music
why'd
in
you
my
have to
opinion.
remind me of that? Sorry. Go on.
Yeah, I mean it was cool in that because you could play your own songs, but like you can also do that in this with the piano. But like I really, really wanted to get good with it because I love the music, and I was like, oh, if I could play anything, any way with this music, especially if it's a mini game, let me do it. But man, I couldn't.
So I liked it, but I didn't want to waste time trying to get good at it because I wanted to continue the main story.
That,
So
and that's the other problem too. You having a really awesome idea, but you're like, you have the story that you want to finish. You're like, I'll play this piano thing later, but then you have to play it now because you're not even. If you don't do it now, it's gonna get harder and harder and harder,
yes,
and you have to practice. And it's like, it's frustrating, but in a good way.
yes. So yeah,
Yeah, it's crazy.
going back to the beach sequence. So I think everyone here probably lost it and laughed. The whole scene where like Cloud, Tifa and Aerith walk up to Cloud, and then like Cloud is like acting really nervous, and like Tifa's like,
Oh,
"What's
yeah.
going on?" Like I laughed like hysterically, and my wife did too. She's just like, "This is like way too funny," because it's a natural reaction, right? You know, you got
Yep.
a young guy standing in front of this obviously gorgeous lady, or two ladies. I gotta be respectful here, and it felt very natural. It didn't feel obviously it's a video game, so they're gonna be embellished it a little bit, but it felt very like normal. Like any one of us would have reacted the same way. So it was well handled, and his eye movements. If you saw his eye movements, it was very funny. Like he just like looked away really quickly and like moved away from the
he
scene.
wants to look, but he knows he shouldn't because he got yelled at by Tifa in the room earlier. But again, it's like I want to look because holy crap, I have my childhood girlfriend here and this girl that I kind of like now, but because of other reasons. But I want to look at both of them, but I also don't want to stare because we would all probably stop and stare, and they would definitely say something to us because their personalities would catch us. So we're like,
That
oh,
awkward
we're not gonna
moment.
look.
Yeah.
Yep, it was perfect. I could have had it any other way. It was amazing.
Oh yeah.
They even have like a funny moment like that with Yuffie too. You can walk up to her and she's like, "Do I look cute or what?"
Oh yeah, that's right. Yes.
Because she wants to also be taken like seriously too, but she also is so awkward too. It's the funniest thing ever.
Yep. So after that, we do the whole Hojo sequence, which is like true to the original game, like talking to him. But then we do a whole like boss battle sequence, and there's two things. One, the fact that you get to choose who you want to help is interesting because it will increase your relationship points with that person later on, or like while you're playing the game. So I thought that was kind of cool that I think there was a couple times in the game that they did that where you needed to choose. But the really cool thing was the little Crisis Core reference that they did there. And Carl, do you remember what the little Crisis Core reference was?
Oh, I do not. What was it?
Oh, go ahead, Jason. Yeah.
I'm trying to remember right now because
Oh
been
my
a while
goodness.
since I played this.
Okay.
Or since I played both.
Okay.
Hold on.
It's fair because it's fresh in my mind because I just played it a couple months ago. But
Yeah.
on the beach,
Yeah,
right
you're
before the battle starts, Cloud does something.
Oh, where he picks
Oh,
up
man.
the umbrella, right?
Yes, yes,
There you go.
Okay.
I forgot that was in Crisis Core for a second there. Yeah,
yes.
now I know what you're talking about. When he Zack fights what's her name,
Well,
right?
no, he's fighting the like scuba troopers, the weird Genesis scuba troopers that pop up on the beach in Crisis Core. Um, he
Yeah,
just
but he's with that one girl, right?
Sisane,
When
yeah,
that happens.
yeah,
Sisane, yeah.
yeah. He's not fighting her, but yeah, they're
I
in
got a
that
little mixed
scene.
up.
Yeah, so like the little Crisis Core reference that you pick up the parasol and you're just whacking the boss with it was pretty cool, and obviously that whole boss fight was really interesting, especially towards the end of the fight where Yuffie comes in and does the whole shadow clone jutsu with the Johnny clones.
Yeah, that was funny.
So I really enjoyed. Oh, actually, my bad. Stepping back a little bit. They added a bit more to the story with Hojo because obviously, he has the attention of the local like girls that are there, and Johnny is not like really impressed with it because he kind of got a bad hand from Shinra, and obviously there's like a whole little bit of a tension between Johnny and Shinra, and now he has to kind of serve Shinra, and he's not really comfortable with that. So seeing that kind of get resolved later is like really nice. And like again, more storytelling with sub characters, and we see some development there. But yeah, after that boss fight is done, I'm actually drawing a blank there. I know Hojo leaves town. We go back to the seaside or the off the beach inn, right? And I'm trying. What happens after that now? I think that's when you get to leave town. I think that's when you get the freedom to leave
Yeah.
town. And that's
Yes.
and
yes.
that's yeah, because that's basically a boss fight is end of the chapter. That's how it normally goes. So
Yeah. Usually, yeah. If there's usually a boss fight for end of chapter, sometimes it'll just end the chapter. Like there's a couple, but like yeah, for sure that was the end one. And then yeah, it just becomes. I believe you become Yuffie, and you're just like doing like the intergrade intermission stuff and doing a lot of like swinging stuff, if I'm not mistaken.
oh, that's I think you're getting ahead there.
I'm a little bit too far.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
their drawbridge thing.
Sorry, my bad. We should definitely go back to when Yuffie actually joins the party. How did you think? What did you think about
Okay.
that there, Carl? Oh,
When Yuffie joined the party, it was really fun to finally get her in there, and I thought it really helped like get that action kind of back on track there. From it felt like a losing situation, and then it's like here comes, your backup. Let's go. Let's get back in here. Let's go start kicking some booty again.
like I like the whole sequence where she does her little like animation of like who she is, right? And then like she gets done with it, and then Cloud's like, "Cool," and it just like walks off the screen, and she's just like, "Hey, what are you doing?" Like that.
Yeah, she makes like a big grand thing about it. Cloud's like cross-armed like always, just be like, all right.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, we got work to do. Come on.
Yep. So Nas is bringing up here about Tifa and Eris dialogue about Cloud at the end. Are you talking about was that a cutscene, or is that like extra NPC, or was that like what do you call that, like normal NPC dialogue while you're just standing there? I'm not entirely sure what you're referring to. Now, I do remember there is a scene with with Aerith and Red 13. And I don't know if you guys remember that scene where 13 reveals his like young voice.
Yep.
Yeah, when I think Cloud knocks on the door, is like, who are you talking to?
Yes.
Mhm.
But I think it was either before that, Aerith and him and 13 talk about the white materia, right? Or no. They talk about the fact that they can't see the future anymore, which is like, whoa. Like
Oh yeah, the things that they saw before. Yeah, the things that they know are becoming like cloudy or something like that.
yeah, and that's really interesting that you get a little bit of some random lore or plot there. But I think they talked about the white materia because at one point they asked like, "Hey, can you see anything?" And they're like, "No," and it's like it's empty, right? And I'm trying to remember if that was that scene or if it was a different scene. But anyways,
I know what you're talking about. I know you're the scene you're talking about with Aerith and Red 13. I took that as because from remake, I'm like, oh, Bugenhagen and Red 13 are gonna know so much because of how they were in the OG, and then how Aerith was now. I felt this was their tease of saying like, hey, Aerith and Red 13 are talking behind this closed door. They're giving so much more spoilery things to each other than they thought. But when you find out that like they can't see the future, I think that was like Aerith's way of being like, okay, things are not what they seem or what they can be. And I think for me, because I thought Bugenhagen was gonna like when we got the Cosmo Canyon and Bugenhagen, I'm like, I was ready to
yes.
pen and paper, sitting down. I'm ready for a lore dump. I'm ready for everything possible. And then, yeah, we'll get there.
Yeah,
I think,
we'll
yeah,
get
Nosferatu
there.
said it. Nosferatu just said it in chat.
Yeah. Carl, go ahead and go ahead.
I was gonna say, how much longer do you think we're gonna go for?
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, we're coming up on 3 hours. I mean, I can go as long as you guys want. I don't care. I'm not on a timer here, so it's your guys' call.
Same.
I gotta punch out probably at 11:30 at the latest. Just give me a heads up.
Is that what, in half an hour from now, or?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I
We can
guess.
speed up a little bit.
Yeah, we got a little bit of time. So I don't know if we're gonna have to do a part 2 then, because there's still quite a bit to go through. But
I'm cool.
I-
I'm cool with the part 2.
I would love to do a part 2 actually, because there's so
Yeah,
much
I'm
stuff
cool
that we've
taking
been
this-
talking about, and we've been having a great time
Yeah.
doing that. When I looked
Even
at my
things-
phone, and it said 10:30. I was like, "What happened?"
yeah.
Yeah, I know, right? Welcome to Top Fives.
Yes.
People who yell at me for being 4.5 hours long.
Okay, so we'll definitely do a part 2 then. I'm not gonna rush
Awesome.
to the end of the game. Then we'll just keep it on pace here with
Cool.
what we got, and we'll put a bookmark in this. So
So how I want to say is kind of like what we're talking about. Once, like, we get past this point, is when like the tone of the game starts to really shift from like upbeat and fun to like starts to get more serious. You know.
yes, yeah,
Yes.
So like this is like the last straw, because like Costa del Sol, where you got like the last I think the last like real fun side stories too, where you got like the clone Johnnies running around,
yep.
like trying to like build up the hotel and stuff, and they're like, "Hey, brother, help me out," you know? "Hey, bro,"
yes,
you know? And you're doing all the Johnny stuff, obviously, and you get his hotel to reopen up and everything else like that too, in like a much better state as well. Plus, with all like the side stories and stuff like that too. I'm trying to remember that. I just remember like all the clone stories where you got to help the clones. Obviously, this is where Yuffie becomes a full-time party member. She gives you the whole spiel back at the thing. It's like, "You're gonna help me hunt materia," and they're like, "Nah." And
yeah.
then she's like, "What do you mean, no?"
Yeah, the other side story was you need to help the one businessman from Shinra find the photos of the cactuar around Costa del Sol. And then
Yeah, that's right.
yeah, that one was kind of funny. Yeah, just because that is just like a random side quest. There was the other one with the mayor. Oh, it was the 3 women, and you needed to do something. Oh, you had to do go on a date with I don't remember who it was. You had to go on some dates again, and then basically help them design some new clothes.
Aerith was the one I went on a date with, I think.
Okay. Yeah, it was somebody of your choosing. And then the other side quest that I think it was a side quest, but the training gym was out there too.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah, the training gym.
But you had to do like with Tifa this time, right?
Yeah, well, yeah. The sit-up challenge. Sorry, it was the sit-up challenge. So.
Yes. Oh man, that brought back memories of me trying to beat the pull-ups.
Oh my gosh, I hate that. I really hated that. But yeah, so moving along, basically Costa del Sol, there's a lot of activities you get to do around there. I like the environment, beach environment, really cool. The enemies were interesting, except for the ones buried in the sand. That was a bit annoying. But I like just running around there, and music was fantastic. The Chocobo, I don't think the chocobo wasn't anything special. It just had like some beachwear on it, and it had a different color to it.
Yeah.
But yeah. So moving on, we get to
So yeah, so
oh
before we keep, well, just one second. So this is where for what I think, because like this is kind of early in the game. This is what chapter 5 and 6. This is where I think a lot of people that were mad at the game might have stopped because we just went through 2 chapters where it was just all mini games. Like yes, there were some fights and there was some lore dumps in there, but it was very not tonal what we think of Final Fantasy VII. It was very like, oh, mini game this, mini game that. All right, can we just keep going? I personally think this is where a lot of people didn't care for it as much because we just went through 2 chapters now of it being not the same.
yes,
That's what I like. I could be wrong, but like the 2 chapters of not continuing can be a while, especially when we know how long some of these took. And I mean, I felt that way too. So
what do you think, Carl? I think he's onto something here.
Yeah, I do agree with him a lot there too. That I feel like it might have like started that run, obviously because you had the level before that, which was basically Queen's Blood, the simulator, and then after that you got into way more mini games like I said, the Rocket League kind of like game, the Shooting Gallery, the Queen's Blood 2 co-op edition. Obviously, you had the Segway stuff where you had to drive around the Segway to get stuff as well. So it really did slow down the game too a lot of times as well. Like the only like they did this like 3 times I want to say where they really slow down the game a lot. But this part where in particular what Jason's talking about, they really did it back to back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
yeah.
Like
The only thing, the only reason why we kept like we should feel like we should keep going more than like Queen's Blood to get across with the ship is we knew that we're gonna get these really cool bathing suits for our favorite characters to go talk to a really evil character, and that's what kept us like pushing and pushing and pushing.
Yes.
yeah.
And it definitely reflects what you said earlier, Carl, about how the game tone changes from this point on, and yeah, and like I think if more people played past this point, then they probably wouldn't have been so frustrated with what I guess they perceived it to be up to that point. So, but yeah, so if you got anything else to say, moving on with Mount Corel and the hike there, the climb there, that was a really fun sequence. Like just hiking up there, getting around. You get split off from the party. We'll get to a certain specific moment here in a second, and then after that, you get to the minecart area. But stepping back, one thing I want to point out is I really enjoyed the interaction with Yuffie and Barrett that entire time you're hiking up Mount Corel. I don't know if you guys remember that. It was
with their little interactions with each other.
Yeah, like kind of like it wasn't necessarily father and daughter, but it was just like
It felt that way.
It
To me, it felt that way.
It did, but I tried. Yeah, to me it did. I will
Yeah.
say yeah. I don't know if you guys noticed. So the part where they split up, right? I think you're with 13. Oh no, you're with Aerith and 13. Sorry, and then Tifa, Barrett, and Yuffie go off on their own. I don't know if you guys noticed that as you're hiking up, you will see chalk drawings that I think that Yuffie did of Barrett and Tifa and her, and the chalk drawings show different emotions of the 3 of them as they're hiking up. And it was like really funny because there's moments where like Barrett is like irritated or something, and then like getting mad at like Yuffie or irritated, and then the next moment it's like Tifa getting irritated with Barrett, and then Barrett's got like this sad look on his face. So like those little like interactions of like Yuffie like documenting like what's happening as you're like hiking up the mountain was just amazing. I really enjoyed that little bit of detail. I love the track that plays there. The music that's playing there is like really good. Anyways, Jason, what did you think about this Mount Corel hike? That's
So as weird as it sounds, and maybe you guys can agree with me, this is where it felt like remake. Very like linear and very the characters as you're doing something are telling a story. It's not a cutscene. They're just while you're fighting an enemy, you know the enemy or whatever. But like when you get done, like they are just talking to each other while you're doing stuff. And if you want to see like how you saw like those chalk drawings, like the world is telling you the story, not a cutscene. Like you can like if you didn't pick up on that, it was just something you missed on. But it's not like important enough. But you know like oh Yuffie can be antagonizing, annoying. Barrett is still Barrett. Like I'm gonna be this big man that has like this really kind heart, and when somebody I love is annoyed at me, I'm sad, you know, things like that. But like just them talking to each other is telling you the story of why you should go up this hill, because you're like, yeah, I know I gotta go up this hill, but like when I get up this hill, what's next? It's like, oh, what they're talking about it because this is what they think could happen when they get up there. They're just as clueless as we are technically.
Dude, the little scene with Aerith getting tired, and then like Cloud and 13
Yes.
are like, I don't think she's gonna make it, and 13's like, it's okay if she passes out, I'll carry her. That was
Yeah,
so
and again, because
funny, man.
Aerith has never made this much of a. She's never really walked this much. So you're thinking like these people are walking around the world. Yeah, they're getting tired. Like, and this little frail kind of girl, yeah, she's gonna get tired. And then they're showing like, oh no, if she gets tired, I got her. Like, I'm friends enough with her. I'll you know, she can lean on me. And that's again part of the story of the game. You can lean on me, kind of thing.
Yep.
That's what it just shows you. Like, they're just showing like when you saw Cloud in remake or in OG, like Cloud had nothing to do with Barrett. Now we're already here, and they're starting to be like, yeah, if you have a problem, I got you.
Yeah, that's a very good observation. Carl, do you agree with Jason about the whole it felt like remake, and that you're getting a little bit more of the story through just talking, the dialogue and interacting instead of just a cutscene?
I can agree with that. Yeah.
And like, did you pick up on the little funny things that were happening in that scene, or were you just kind of like rushing to the top, trying to hike it fast?
I remember the cartoon drawings. I definitely was probably more rushing up and wasn't super paying attention to that like you.
Okay, I don't know. Like, I just noticed it out of the blue, and I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And then you get to like another like split, and you're like, oh, there's another drawing here, and I just thought it was hilarious. So.
Oh man, and again, like for people who've missed it, or like don't think of like if you missed it, like it's a bad thing, or you picked it up like, oh, you're a super fan. Like that's the best thing about it is like there's so much little things like in the game that you can miss, but if you just pick up on, it just adds a little bit more detail. Because is it important? No, but it just shows you, yeah, Barrett's still the same Barrett that gets annoyed when people aren't like listening to him. But if Tifa's mad at him, still sad. But like Yuffie's still this hyper personality. It's like, oh cool, I'm on this trip. I'm gonna get all this material. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. And it just shows you this characters are doing what they still do, even though we're this early in the game or whatever.
Yeah. And the beauty is, you can go, if you've already been in the game, you can go back and like re-explore that area, not even having to choose that chapter,
Yes.
because I'm pretty sure that like it's permanently there, so you can go and just look at it and re-hike it. Yeah. So like when we get to the top, we do like a boss fight, and then like the most interesting thing happens. Once you finish that boss fight. Which, by the way, the boss was like a reused boss from remake.
Cockatrice, right? Was it Cockatrice?
No, the helicopter.
No, it was the Valkyrie.
Yeah, Valkyrie. Yep.
Yeah, it was helicopter robot. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, you fought that robot because the Turks sent him in, and then yeah, we have this crazy sequence, and it's like we're at this point. I know Carl here, he beat it in like 30 hours or whatever, or 40 hours of the game. But for some of us that are like taking our time and playing through it, we're like 30, for us, we're 30 hours into the game. And then boom, we finally get another Zack sequence. And it's like, oh my goodness, like it took this long to get a Zack sequence. So
I was surprised it took this long. I mean, I'm like, especially how the first one ended, I was like, okay. And this one started with it. I'm like, are we going to get more? That's cool. And it just keeps going. You're like, for me, I was like, when's that gonna come back?
Yes,
but then
same.
not mad that it's not coming back because everything has its own point. But I'm like, oh shit, it's there. Like, oh crap, like let's go. Like now I gotta be this just again. Like we're walking up still to get a story, and then they just dump something this and random on us like this. You're like, okay, now I gotta get on the edge of my seat and what's going on.
Oh, dude, yeah, and I mean, there's a pattern because these Zack sequences are short, so you have to savor it as much
Hmm.
as you can for how short they are. And uh,
And I took that, and I took it as I could be wrong and thinking about it too. Is they give us short Zack experiences, just like in the original, just like in general. Like Zack is not with us for very long, or not there very long. So when you get him, like adore what you got. So when they give him little short bursts, it's like it hurts. It's like I have a game with them, but like, can I just have a little bit more?
yes. um, so Carl, what did you think about how in the second Zack sequence, basically they did a fake out with the Aerith's death in the beginning of the game, with Zack, and then they kind of just like in the second sequence they're like, oh, she's fine, like her mom has her, Elena has her, and uh, like you're kind of helping take care of her, and also Cloud's with you, obviously still. So like, what did you think about that? Like, because you got to it much quicker than we did. How was it for you?
I thought it was interesting, but this is also where they have Wedge, right? Is it Wedge or Biggs? I forget which
It's
who it.
it's Biggs, and I'm pretty sure
Okay,
that
Biggs.
was
Yeah.
the next sequence.
Was it the next sequence? I thought it was this one where you had to go after you do all the stuff with Aerith and that too, and her mom. That's when they ask you to go find Biggs.
I think, wasn't there like a sign, a poster, and he saw? Oh wait, hold on a second.
I'm forgetting as
Oh
well.
my goodness, yeah, because they're so short and you
If
just
it's
forget
not,
them instantly.
yeah.
Well, anyways, let's just say you're right about that. Yeah. So yeah, Biggs. There's a big reveal. Obviously, if you beat remake, you saw the end with Biggs in the bed, and you're like, wait, that doesn't make any sense. Like, what's going on here?
Yep.
And
Right.
then all of a sudden he appears in this world, and you're like, oh my goodness, what's going on? Like, you're just getting it's just confusion, and it's definitely playing with your head there. But anyways, yeah.
I think the thing with all the like the Zack cutaway parts is that they like just confuse you about like what's going on. Like I said, it's because they're so quick. You kind of get through them. There's not really any action. It's just like world building. And is it a red herring or like what's going on here? Because
Yeah.
because from the whole standard is that the world that like you see with Zack now is like, well, he's there with Aerith, and then there's Cloud with him too, and basically he rescued both of them because obviously it starts off with him like just going like, "Come on, Cloud, buddy, old pal,
Mhm.
we're gonna get back to Midgar," and then after that it takes off where the whole thing with the helicopter, because we didn't really address that too much too, is like a helicopter crashes, basically everyone's dead. He finds Aerith, and now he's just taking care of basically like two comatose like main protagonists, and him just it's kind of weird because like it's Zack uh trying to figure out what's going on himself.
Yeah. Y- Um, Nos brings up a good point. Every time I got to a Zack sequence, I was on the edge of my seat. Yeah. No. You bring up a good point about Zack. Zack's trying to figure things out, and because it's interesting. Because if you remember the end of the remake with his scene where he was supposed to die, and he kind of like is surprised that he survived that, right? I don't know if you remember
Yeah.
Zach
that.
is us. Zach
Yeah.
is literally us. We're like, wait, you're alive, and he's like, wait, I'm alive.
Yeah.
Like, wait, you had the same thought I do. Like, what the heck's going on? And then same thing when we get little things like this is like, wait, what are you doing here? Wait, what am I doing here? It's like, are you listening to what? Like, how can you hear me? Like,
Yeah.
PlayStation, my
Exactly.
mic's turned off. Like, what is going on?
Yeah. On top of that too, it's like for you guys it meant more. For me, I had like it's like, who is this guy?
Mm,
So
yeah.
I was like, well, who's this Zack guy? And then you play Crisis Core, you're like, oh, I like this Zack guy. I hope nothing bad happens to him.
Oh wait.
Yeah.
And then of course now it's like we got Rebirth coming in, and you see this like giant like intertwining of like this stuff. Now here's the thing, I didn't play the original, so I have to ask this question: was Zack even like a part of like the original run at all?
Go ahead and take it away
You
there,
see,
Jason.
yeah, I mean, you get a little bit of cutscenes with him, but like nothing crazy. Like you're like, oh, this is that guy. Like the big time you see it is when you get into Cloud's coma, and then when you're trying to figure out why Cloud is the way he is or why he isn't the way he is or whatever kind of thing. So you'll get little pictures, like get little things of Zach, but nothing crazy enough to be like, oh, Zach could be a main character, except for
So
the
he-
people that were like, wait, you were technically him before him, and then that's how it became.
If I can,
So he was.
oh, go ahead, Carl.
I was just gonna say. So he was like an exposition dump in the first game.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
However,
That's why I never cared. I never cared for Zach on the original because as a younger me, I never realized Cloud was Zach. I'm like, oh, Cloud is just a broody person, but he's trying to find himself, whatever. But Zach is literally what I am, a person who I know who I was wanted to be, and not always just mad at the world or mad at stuff. Like I wanted to help fix things, and that's what Zach technically was. And then when other games came out and they projected that, and you're like, no, this is what he is, and this is why Cloud eventually becomes a little bit better, and like why they were friends and everything like that. It's like, oh, that makes so much more sense. And that's when I became more of Zach best boy instead of, Cloud is like, why is Cloud getting like, oh, I'm glad Cloud is in everything. It's like, no, I want Zach to be in everything.
Yeah, if I can also add to this, so I watched a retrospective for the original Final Fantasy VII a while ago, and apparently in the international release of that game, they actually added more scenes with Zack, and they are reflective of his scenes in Crisis Core, particularly the ending scenes. Now, those apparently, if I remember correctly from the retrospective, you actually have to do some extra side quest related stuff in order to unlock those scenes to find out more of the story. But there is an actual scene in the original game or the international release that shows Zack at his final stand. It doesn't show him. I mean, I think it does show him getting gunned down, but it does show Cloud taking up the sword as well. I'm gonna have to find that clip for you guys, but that was something that I think was like super hidden in the game. Like you had to, I don't know what side quest you need to do to find that or whatever, but it was like it was in the original game. Just it was like really it was buried basically.
So it wasn't in the Japanese original release.
No, actually, so the Japanese original release, I think, didn't have a lot of stuff in it. It didn't have the extra ruby fights, or not ruby fights, weapon
They
fights.
added a lot more for the international releases.
Yes.
Yeah, the Japanese release. Yeah, I personally think they got the game out and told the story, but they were like, wait, there's more to this. And then when it came out internationally, they're like, oh, this is the actual story we wanted to tell, like with the weapons, because the weapons always have like they have a purpose as we fight one in the main campaign of the game. But wait, there should and they were thinking like there should be more because of reasons. So I think when they brought it out internationally, like, oh, we can do this way because this is the story that it should be, and make more sense in a way.
Yes,
That's so. I didn't know this too. That's very interesting. So, Jason, did you play like one of the modern ports of it, like when it came to the Switch and stuff like that? Did they carry all that stuff over, or what happened?
Yeah. I always tell people, like, if you want to play Final Fantasy VII the original, play it as like on the Switch, or play as like the pixel remasters, because if you want to play the game and get everything on it, it's there. But if you're like, oh man, I just want to see what the original story is, because again, when Remake came out, people want to know like, why is this or why is this that? I'd be like, just play the story. You'll get caught up. You can do like 2x mode. You can do like unlimited limit breaks. You can like just play the game just to see the story, to get kind of caught up to why we're going crazy. Like you can do however you want to do it, but you can see that kind of reasons what they did. So I would say if you're gonna play it on Switch. If you have an original PlayStation, play it on the PlayStation. But if you can play the original, you've never played the original, and you want to kind of understand why we're going crazy like we are, you'll understand.
So that's interesting. So did you know about all this stuff, the difference between the Japanese and the Western release, and did you find all this stuff originally?
I did. Thanks
cool.
to thanks to the Bible I've had ahead of the strategy guide. It says only in in America, or I forget how they phrase it, but they show this gigantic ruby weapon on the back, and it says only in the U.S. or however they phrased it. And I'm like, wait, that's just for us. And then it makes sense when you play the game. So when people said like, "Oh yeah, in Japan they didn't have this or they didn't have this to begin with," I'm like, "All right, that's cool. We get the harder stuff."
Yes, Japan bombed Pearl Harbor. We get the better Final Fantasy. That's how we.
I'll have to find a video on YouTube that shows the differences or like explains it, or maybe there's a link online.
Mhm.
But that video retrospective was interesting because I didn't know that like they added more Zack scenes that predate Crisis Core and predate Advent Children too. So, um, yeah, the Switch version or the modern port version, but yeah, the Switch version, that's the one my wife's playing right now, and she's enjoying it. Like the unlimited limit breaks and the 3
Yeah.
times speed for the battles. Like, she's not like an RPG type of person, so like it's she's playing it for the story. Like Jason said, that's like the best way to do it. And a friend of mine, Matt Cave Gaming over here on YouTube, that's how he played it, and he really enjoyed it that way as well. So, I mean, it's
I
there.
guess I'll
and-
have to do that. Yeah.
yeah, it's very convenient. It's very convenient.
So your wife is power tripping. Is that what she's doing? She's like, "Haha, die, everyone."
Yeah, but what's funny is like she's at the point where she's trying to farm chocobos, and she forgot that one of her characters has counter. So when the chocobo or
Oh, no.
an enemy attacks that character, the character will counter the chocobo, and then the chocobo goes crazy, attacks everybody, and then runs away. So she's like, I gotta watch out here.
Yeah, you'll get to a part. You'll get a part where you forget stuff's on. You get like counter summon Knights around 17 times. You're like,
Yeah,
crap, I
yeah.
have to turn this off or put this down and walk away because I am not playing this game for another like half hour
So you
because I totally messed up.
to go off a tangent, and we gotta have to wrap it up. I forgot that there was that 3 times mode, and so she got the summon Leviathan and Odin, and those are kind of long. Or no, Bahamut. Sorry, it was Bahamut. The second
Bahamut's pretty
one.
long.
Yeah, and then she's like,
Neo?
man, yeah, Neo. She's like, wow, this is like taking some time, and I'm like, yeah, wait until you get like some of the last like end of the game summons, and then she found the 3 times boost. She's like, oh, I'm using this all the time now.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember like original casting Knights of the Round for the first time, and I was like, "This is amazing! Holy crap, this is taking a while, but it's worth the damage." I kept seeing I kept getting excited by seeing the numbers on the screen. I'm like, "All right, how many 9999s can I get on the screen? All right, that didn't do
Yes.
it. Why did I do it?" But
Yes. Yeah, for those of you who are not aware, if you want the physical copy for Final Fantasy VII, you have to get it in the North American region, and it comes with the Final Fantasy VIII HD remaster too. For some odd reason, Japan decided not to go physical, or you can get a digital on the Switch online as well, through the store. My bad, the eShop.
Wait, for what?
For digital, so obviously you have the digital route for Final Fantasy VII, but if you want physical, you have to do what I did, where I had to go to the Philippines and find the North American version of that game, because the physical was only sold in North America for the Switch.
yeah, it's the one that's on the
I
back
thought it was-
back wall.
I thought it was
That you
on
see in there.
Play Asia.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like you have to play Asia, but it's probably the Asian copy, which is like the Singapore / Philippines / English Asian speaking countries copy.
Yeah.
But Japan does not have a physical version of Switch
Okay.
of Final Fantasy VII for the Switch. So
That's weird.
yeah, I don't. Yeah, but then we have Onimusha for the Switch on physical. So
Yeah, get me one to copy one of those days. And Europe actually had them physically as well.
oh my goodness, I don't understand what they're doing with these releases here.
It's a roulette wheel. Nothing makes sense.
Yep. Well, sadly, yeah, we're gonna have to end this because people got lives to get back to. But we're gonna have to obviously do a part 2 and probably a part 3, considering the pacing that we're going on here.
Yeah, for sure.
Actually, I don't know. We're at chapter 7, so I mean, chapter 7 is where the game really hits its half point mode, if I remember. So
yeah,
we're-
but then
we're-
we're
sounds
gonna have
about
to
right.
spend 3 hours theory crafting. So that's
Yeah,
gonna be
that's
part
true.
3.
Part 3 is
yeah.
theory crafting. I would like that.
So I'm sorry, Jason. We couldn't get to a really good sequence with Barrett, which we'll save that for part 2. Because I know we were
Alright,
talking
it's
about.
coming up soon.
Yeah.
Coming up, man.
But yeah, I appreciate you guys taking time to hang out and do this. We'll have to schedule like I said, the part 2 as soon as we can, because I definitely want to keep this fresh in our minds. But
Oh yeah,
Right on.
I appreciate you keeping us on. Like, I had to bring up a couple things because it's been a while since I played it, so I 100% appreciate you running things down, because if it was up to me, I would have put things in backward orders and I would have forgot more stuff. So you having played it more, earlier, like
recently,
recent
yeah.
than us, yeah, it's great to kind of walk back to what I did when I played it. So it's fantastic. So thank you so much.
No worries. Well, I guess for this first part, closing thoughts. Give us, I guess, a 1 minute closing thought on the game up to this point. I'll start with you, Carl.
Like I said, it was good, but it was a little bit of a rocky journey toward 2 chapters we talked about.
Yeah, with the mini games, yeah. Okay. And what about you there, Jason?
If you're still listening to us, we only made through halfway of the game and you haven't played it. We just gave you an opportunity to play the game so you can come back and join us. Like, it's a fantastic game. It's one of my favorite series. Again, remake to me, I like better than Rebirth, but Rebirth is just as good as remake. So play it.
There you
Yeah, I
go.
agree.
And
Play it.
to make note, all 3 of us more or less played the game differently. Carl played it the fastest. I guess I don't know how many hours was your first playthrough, or not hours. How long was your first playthrough, Jason?
Man, I should have turned my PlayStation on and I told you. It's
My-
got to be 100 hours.
Okay, mine was 90 hours. I know I clocked it in at 90 hours. So and I still had a lot of left over. I know you did too. So you can play
Oh,
this
yeah.
super fast like Carl did, and like kind of like skip a lot of the overworld and the side quest stuff, or you could take your time like Jason and I did and really absorb everything. Like, the game gives you the freedom to do that. There's just a couple times where, yeah, you're forced to play Queen's Blood, and you can drop out. You're basically forced to play it 3 times then, if you're talking about like 3 separate occasions. And then, yeah, there are some mini game sequences that you have to do, but they're not. They're fun. I think they're fun, and they give you a nice little break from all the action, because the action is pretty intense sometimes. And anyways, from the beginning to Costa del Sol, a lot of great moments, a lot of great character development, and I think I know I enjoyed what I played, minus minus the first part of the cruise ship chapter. So
Yeah.
103 hours.
103 hours.
Sorry,
Okay,
I turned my PlayStation on just to double check. 103 hours.
cool. Okay,
And I still have a bunch to do.
yeah. Oh man, yeah. All right. Well, yeah. Like I said, appreciate you guys taking time. We'll end things here. I'll start with you, Jason. You guys, I don't think I have your link. Let me get this up. What do you got coming down the pipeline for YouTube? I know you do a lot of top 5 stuff with Nerdy Neo, but is there anything else you got planned?
Yeah. We have a couple top 5s with Neo until he goes on vacation. So top 5s will just be me in July, so that'll be coming up soon. June 10th, we are doing top 5 license-based games, so that's gonna be interesting and very fun to come up with. I already thought, I'm like, I can only come up with 3, and now I have like 17, so now I have to trim those down. Other than that, we have new Sand coming out soon. That's going to be where we look at old video game magazines and kind of just see if the game came out, what the review was, or just look at old video game magazines, because again, that's what I used to do all the time. Is anytime I was at a shopping market, I'd be like, hey, I don't want to shop with you and I don't want groceries. I'm just going to stand here and read all the Game Pros, all the EGMs, all I can, just so I can get as much news as I possibly can do. And then we have Jank Fighter coming out. That's just going to be playing a lot of fighting games, because again, I'm a huge fighting game fan. And then if you are in the Chicagoland area and you know about Combo Breaker, I will be at Combo Breaker all weekend.
One thing, because Nas, if he's still here, he's a big Maximilian fan like you, and so I was just gonna say, Jason is like, you like to call yourself like Maximilian.
I'm the
Light?
Dollar General version.
Oh, Dollar General
Yeah,
version.
I'm the
That's
Dollar
right.
General. Yeah, I'm the Dollar General him. So like a lot of things that he likes, that's why I like his stuff too. Is like, wait, this guy likes the same stuff as me. I'm just not as good as he is in a lot of things. But yeah, like I'm the Dollar General version of him. So if you're a fan of that,
You'll
follow
like
me.
Jason. You'll love Jason. Awesome. Carl, I know you got a lot of shows that you and I are secretly working on, and we'll have a reveal here soon. But what do you got coming up next?
Obviously next week, you and our friend Frankie the Mexican are going to be on the June monthly recap. I mean, of May. Sorry, the May monthly recap of what video games we've been playing, what we're looking forward to June. Obviously, so that will be this upcoming Friday, next Friday, I should say, at 7 o'clock Central. And then after that, everything's kind of, we're hammering out the details. I got a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes with some people. We got new shows that we're going to be launching. Obviously, as the summer goes on, we debuted the one a few weeks back with Nerdy Neo, another gaming retrospective show where we did a whole breakdown on Split Fiction, why it's my current game of the year, and why people should go out and play that game. And on top of that, too, basically just enjoying this weekend. It's Memorial Day weekend out here in the States. So everyone, I hope you're having just a good weekend. Yesterday was my birthday, so I took this whole today off. Usually I would be at work, but I decided to have a nice 5-day weekend, so that's why we're able to do this. And I'm happy we did it. I learned a lot of stuff about Final Fantasy. I had a fun time. And like I said, I looked at the clock. It said 8:30, and then all of a sudden it was 10:30. So time really just flies, man. Time really just flies. So I can't wait for part 2. We got to work out some time schedule for that. And yeah, Jason is definitely. I talked to Jason about some of the shows too, so Jason will definitely be on a few of them in the future as well.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm looking forward to some of these shows that we've been working on, and just getting back into the talking about video games, and just having fun. Just friends talking about video games like we did today, and that's what we need more of right now. So
Exactly.
I appreciate both your guys' time. As for me, which by the way, if you guys don't have the stream already up, I have that outro clip that I want you guys to see here in a second. But as for me, as far as my schedule, it is like 1:30 for me in the morning here, so I probably go to sleep, wake up, and I might stream one more Star Wars game to round out Star Wars month. So that might be happening in about 9 hours from now. And then on the 25th at I think it's going to be 8 a.m. Eastern time. It will be on this guy's channel. His name is Pops. We're going to be starting off Star Wars Day, May 25th. And me and 2 of my friends out here that live out here in Japan, we always start Star Wars Day on Pops' channel. And we just talk about Star Wars for 2 hours. And then he's got other shows lined up for Star Wars related conversations. I wanted to say a funny thing about how, ironically, it is Star Wars month, but we are talking about kind of like the Empire Strikes Back for Final Fantasy VII story. I know that's like something that Max and some other people coined. I think it kind of relates to it a little bit. So we can talk about it another time. But anyways, that's what I've got going on. So hopefully you'll see me in 9 hours. If not, I appreciate everybody that came on by. A lot of people swung on by, of course. Ureb Army, Dread Roberts, Nerdporeal Lifeform, Pacific 414, Nosferatu, thanks for coming in at the 11th hour, as always. Again, part 2 will be coming, and probably a part 3 because of how much we got to still cover. And this was a lot of fun. All right, I got this final clip for you guys. Nos, if you're watching, I hope you're still watching because this clip's for you. See you guys later, and have a good rest of your day.
Wait. Sorry, man. I feel like I failed you.
Hey, anybody there?
So, I hear you've been pretty busy.